Hello everyone, it all comes down to this, the final round of the 2025 Superleague Championship with GPVWC. This is the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix and we are set for an absolute cracker. I know I always say that, but this time it's real. It's the championship finale that we've been building up for all season long between Loic Mounier and Jarl Tyen. My name's Caitlin Penny. Joining me in the commentary box is my friend Ed Hunter and the broadcast director is Remco de Zeeuw. Ed, as you can see, the championship standings have flip-flopped throughout the year, and it comes down now to just a two-man race between Loic Mounier and Jarl Tyen.
Well, I mean, the big story out of what you just said there, Caitlin, is me being upgraded to friend status at the end of a very long season, as you can see. Only took 16 rounds commentating alongside you. But yes, I've always considered you a friend since the beginning, if that's any consolation. But there we go. Awesome.
I've never said you weren't, but carry on.
That's true. But it's nice to get the clarification, because, you know, sometimes... sometimes you think, was I a bit too harsh there or whatever? But yeah, we seem to get on okay. To put it mildly, I think we get on like a house on fire. Loic Mounier, as you say, leading the championship by 16 points, needs just to finish 6th or higher today to secure the championship. But it's going to feel suddenly in a title decider when you've got that points advantage. All of a sudden, all the attention's on you because it's not really about what Jarl Tyen just needs to finish in the top 3, ideally win, and hope that Loic Mounier hits trouble, essentially, whereas Loic has just got to keep it together. There's all the attention, all the pressure on his shoulders, because this is what in a way, his career has sort of been building to, and now he just needs to make sure he doesn't stumble at this final hurdle. But as we've seen in real life, Abu Dhabi can throw up some surprises here, and Loic will need to be on his toes because not just Yaltine, but Tom Stevens, Maurice Kropp, who he tangled with in Interlagos. And we have also got the likes of who's in the second Fraser time, because I think it's not Sven Schubert, it is somebody else filling in for Sven tonight, who's also very, very good, but whose name escapes me because I can't see him immediately in front of me. But there we go. You might be able to see him on the left-hand side. It's not Norbert Jakab, but it's Matej Majka, our FS1 champion. Yeah, our FS2 and FS1 champion of the past 2 seasons in a row. So the only other driver I know that's done that feat is Jack Mayer. So he's in very hallowed, esteemed company, Matej Majka, and great to see him. Believe this would be his Super League debut as well. He's one of a number of FS1 drivers that have dipped their toes in the water, and this could be a big opportunity for him to show what he's made of them. But on board with Loic in his first flying lap here, and he will want to nip this in the bud quickly, won't he? And blow everyone's socks up. He's set, I think, 3 or 4 excellent pole laps this season at Istanbul as he swings it into turn 12 at the back end of the circuit. Istanbul Park, Circuit de Catalunya, and Hungaroring, all excellent pole laps. And look at that middle sector, 2/10 up on the best that Yaltine has done so far. But yeah, Tyne seemed very, very confident going into this one. THR definitely seemed to think they have a trick up their sleeves. Let's see what Loic's lap is.
Okay, so Loic Mounier up to the line. This should be his benchmark. And Owen McGorgy actually goes to the top of the times with a 1:19.590. McGorgy returning for just his second, I think, outing of the season. And we're hoping that it goes a little bit better than Singapore, because that was a little bit of a disaster for Owen McGorgy, despite that pole position that he took there. I will say very quickly that this is the last championship that we have to wrap up. Congratulations should go to all of the other champions from all of the other categories. We mentioned in the last broadcast that Sandeep Singh had already wrapped up the Formula Sprint 2 championship, but Potentia Grand Prix are confirmed as the team's champions there. In Formula Sprint 1, that ended up going the way of Matej Majka, Mateusz Majka. I keep getting him confused with the other Polish driver on the grid,
This guy, yeah.
And Malta Force GP absolutely dominated the standings in that. I do remember a brilliant headline from Toby Davis early this year when he said Malta forced their way to the top of the standings, and I thought that was very good, so well done, Toby. In Super Lights, Jose Soriano wrapped that one up. He's also made a couple of Super League outings this year, and Netrex GP are the team's champions in that. That was probably the closest team's championship that we had. And then, of course, in Super League, the team's championship has already gone the way of THR. That was another case of absolute domination. But the Drivers' Championship is coming down to the wire. Now, with that being said, it will take a lot for Yaltine to win this one. To be honest, there has not been a single race yet this year where the results would have given him the championship if they were to occur again today. So he would need at least a 1 in 16 event to happen tonight. Probably something with even more odds than that, even lower odds than that, rather, in order to be crowned champion. So it's unlikely. His best bet would be if Loic Mounier had some kind of an incident and Jarl was to finish near the front of the field. But Loic very rarely has incidents, at least not incidents that are that big. So it's unlikely to see Yaltine snatch victory from the jaws of defeat, but absolutely not impossible. It is worth also noting, of course, that there were a couple of rather interesting events that took place at the last race at Interlagos. We'll be showing you the highlights reel between this race and between
this quali session.
Exactly right, between qualifying and the start of the race. Yaltine, of course, after starting from the back of the pack, was coming through, looked as if he was on course for a podium, and then ended up coming together with Sandeep Singh as he was making his way through the pack. I will say there was a little bit of, well, to be honest, there was quite a fallout on the Discord chats after that one. Different people with differing opinions. Some people saying that Sandeep did it absolutely on purpose. Other people defending Sandeep and saying that he'd never do something like that. To be honest, I think that that doesn't really matter. I was quite disappointed personally to see the amount of fallout that there was, and I wanted to say something about that on this this broadcast because I think it got a little bit personal. And I would like to say, guys, that whatever happens tonight, I would like it to remain civil, both on track, both in the Discord channel, in the YouTube chat, everything like that. I'm absolutely sure that this is going to be a fair race, that there's not going to be any foul play or anything like that. And if something does happen, I want you to give people the benefit of the doubt. Let's not jump to any sensationalist conclusions. And even if we think that somebody has done something completely wrong, I would like you to talk to them with respect, okay? Discussions can happen, but I think it sometimes goes a little bit over the top. But with that out of the way, we're going to go back to the qualifying session. You can see that Jan Granqvist just completed a lap, stayed in 6th position there. And Jan, who was very unlucky to be knocked out of the championship fight in the last race. Without a couple of DNFs, his season would be much, much better by this point. Loic Mounier here coming out the final few corners. Let's see him take a new lap time. Let's see if he improves his own. He's got a good exit to that final turn actually. And does not improve. Oh, he does improve, but he doesn't improve his position. Stays 3rd. And here comes Carlos Martin, who looks to be improving into the top 3, Ed.
Indeed he is. And yeah, I echo exactly what you've said about the controversial incidents and the way some people talked about Sandeep. And Sandeep has taken a lot of flack this year, a lot of abuse actually this season from a very, and abuse is always unwarranted. We should make that absolutely clear. But I think he does a great job, and he's been given a lot of stuff. I mean, I talked to him, and he's told me basically, look, I'm a big guy, and I can deal with this, and so, but I think he shouldn't have to. And yeah, I think I understand people say things in the heat of the moment when the adrenaline is running and a title is on the line. But I think there's people saying, I think it's really unfair to say, oh, Sandeep Singh has potentially cost Yaltan this championship, because I think I look even editing highlights of the season, looking back, I think back to first race season where Yaltan had a bit of a screen freeze and then crashed out at Melbourne, or Japan where him and Tom Stevens crashed into each other, and Mounier gained a whole load of points on them from winning that race. So the number of examples where obviously Yaltan, it wasn't really his fault in Interlagos what happened, but I think you've got to look at the season as a whole and not just the penultimate race of the championship. Dramatic though it was, especially Jarl, just 42 thousandths down in that first sector with 5 minutes left to go, and you sense here Mounier has got those couple of tenths on him. And is this just the state of the engines at the end of the season? Everybody's put their best engines forward, really. I think Edge Esports have got the freshest engines for both of their cars. I think number 3, Mark Schluter's got 100% engine. He's the only driver that does at this late phase of the season. THR, Jarl has got 77%. And then let's look at Loic in number 2. He's got 68%. So yeah, that's a good 9% fresher engine in Yaltan's car. He loses it at the final corner. So I think the pressure just starting to get to him here, because he knows Loic ahead of him, he's got to pull a rabbit out the hat here. And so far, Jarl is struggling a bit.
Look at him there, taking the scenic route to get back to the pit lane there, making sure that he can actually get into the pits.
It's really not strictly meant to do that.
Not really, but to be honest, I understand why he did it.
The alternative was worse, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Doing a full lap to get back to the pits and losing a good 2 minutes of your session. Here's Jorge Marquez, a driver who is steadily improving. It must be said that he wasn't particularly living up to his status as the teammate of the championship leader when he came into that Spark Racing Team squad, but he is more used to the likes of iRacing, and I think he's getting up to speed with rFactor 2 now and getting himself more regularly into the top 15 in terms of pace. Mark Schluter here has had an absolutely torrid season. He was one of the championship contenders a year ago and has been very disheartened about how it's all gone. But I also think that he's still showing flashes of speed, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him challenging for the top 10 today. His first sector time has actually been pretty darn good, and you can tell that by the by the purple sector time you can see on the bottom right hand side of your screen as I pretend to be colorblind. He shoots through the final two corners and comes into the pit lane, which you normally see at about this stage of the session, because as you can see, there's 3 minutes left on the clock, which means just enough time. Whoa, big slide for Tomasz Wog. Just enough time to reset your car, make an outlap, do another flying lap, and then make sure that you cross the line right as the session finishes. So you get the best, most rubbered in track and the best chance of a pole position.
And speaking of Mark Schluter, I know this may sound a little bit slightly self-indulgent, but let's just take a brief moment to congratulate him as the new Formula Sim Racing World Champion, which he sealed last Sunday at Circuit of the Americas with a brilliant win. So, yeah, even though this is GPVWC season may not have gone to plan for Mark, he's had success elsewhere, and I'm sure Owen McGorgy, as the previous FSR champion, can certainly relate to that he sort of abandoned the GPV Super League season completely halfway through to focus on that, and then has come back. So yeah, great to see our two big hitters in other worlds of sim racing giving it a go at Super League for the final race of the season. As we see Tyne, personal best in the first sector. This looks like a better lap.
Indeed it does. So, through the long double left-hander towards the end of the lap. That used to be a much more boring Mickey Mouse section with a chicane and a little right-angled left-hander. And I'm so glad that they changed that, because now it's a real seat-of-your-pants corner where you've got to hang on for dear life. He's right up against the barriers there and just about keeping it within the limits. Sparks fly as he comes around the final corner to complete a lap. Big twitch, that'll cost him some time, but he's still in P5. No improvement though, no improvement. He may get one more chance, but I'm not sure he's going to get the fuel and tyres for it.
I lost 3 temps in that final sector alone, Caitlin.
He did, and to be honest, the tyres go off so fast in these cars, and you use up so much energy per lap that doing back-to-back hot laps isn't really doable unless it's, say, a wet session or something along those lines. But anyway, Royal stays in 10th position. I'm interested to see that drivers are completing their final hot laps now. I would be expecting them to only be starting their final hot laps in the last minute of the session, and I can't help but feel that some drivers have gone a little earlier than I would have expected, Ed.
Indeed. Jeffrey Fournier's not head out at all. I'm not sure if he has a penalty hanging over him from Brazil. I don't see anything written down, so maybe Jeff is just going to try and do a last to first challenges. There's Owen waiting for the latest possible moment there. A very slow entry into the final corner, and then immediately gets up to speed. It's not a long run onto that back straight, is it? So Owen just taking his time as he flirts with the track limits at the exit of turn 1. Sparks flying out into the night at the bottom under tray of that TOP. One of the most developed cars out there. I think Spark are very, very even with them at this phase of the season. And then it's HRT with Milnek, the winner of the last race at Interlagos, in between Owen and Loic at the moment then. So yeah, no surprise to see both TOPs qualifying strong. And yeah, Milnek giving them a bit of haste as there we go. The clock has expired, and this is almost certainly going to be a very, very competitive lap from Owen McGorgy. I don't think he was on pole at single. I'm pretty sure Jan Grankvist was, as Jan is going to go 6th fastest. I think Jarl Tyne is not going to get another lap in time, so he will remain 5th at best, and that is a worrying time. So the man desperate to keep his championship hopes alive, but McGorgy is flying in that middle sector.
Yeah, sorry, you're right about McGorgy. I don't know where I got that from. Might be remembering something that happened last season. But anyway, McGorgy with a fastest middle sector there. The purple time showing you just how quick he is. He comes through the final couple of corners. With the gap he's got, this might not even matter, but he's going to complete it nonetheless. Comes across the line. It is an improvement. It's a 1:19.455. And I don't want to speak too early, but I think that's pole position. Matching Winnick now out of the final corner. The winner of the last race in the very strong HRT car can only manage second and only 2 tenths back. Yard tyre now. Oh, he's lost time in the second sector. That doesn't look
Oh!
good. And he's played it out. That'll be that lap done, I'm afraid to say. I don't see any improvements coming for Jan Grankvist here, and he knows it. He's coming into the pits. I reckon that's the lot then, at least for the top 10. So McGorgy should be on pole now by 0.2 of a second over Maciej Winnick. A convincing pole margin, and even he has a convincing margin over Loic Meunier, who is third. So the front row of the grid look clear of the rest of the field, at least in terms of qualifying times, and that sets us up for a bit of a dogfight, at least at the start of this race. A good qualifying session for Yartayan, P5. I know it sounds interesting to say that that's a good qualifying session for a championship contender, but qualifying has not been THR's strong point this season, so that is promising for him. So McGorgy takes pole, followed by Winnick, then Meunier, Martin and Tyen, then Jan Grankvist, reigning champion, who will lose his title today. Then Tomasz Vuk, Dylan Fischer, Norbert Jakob and Maciej Matthias Maika. I've said that 3 times now. So Jakob and Maika, 2 of the stand-in drivers, doing excellently well in this session. Then it's Mark Schluter, Stefan Roth, David Krupa, great job there in 13th. And then it's Moritz Kropp, although he has a 10th-place grid penalty, I believe. Then Jorge Marquez, Tom Stevens, Jaco Lalu, Jose Soriano, Robin Panzer, and Alessandro Maggio. I think Stevens will be a bit disappointed there with 15th. Pascal Pollens, Xavi Rose, Chris Shepherd, Tygo Poom, Scott Flack, Michael Falkenine, Stein Hangraf, Jeffrey Fournier, and Ruben Vanden Hudding make up some of the other drivers. And I believe we're missing 2 cars still. I think there may be... Anyway, we'll figure that out in a second, because we've got to move on to the highlights reel from the last race to make sure we get time from it. So if you don't remember what happened 2 weeks ago in Brazil, I don't blame you. A lot's happened since then, but here is your quick refresher. Watch the lights, and it's go! Maciej Winnick leads us away now. Menno Klont starting from the pits apparently, but don't be thrown off, he is not leading the race. Maciej Winnick leads into turn 1. Stevens trying to go around the outside of Grankvist. That will turn into the inside for turn 2. And look at Meunier now, who has a good run on him. Grankvist should get the slipstream of Stevens on the exit, that gold livery THR. And then cuts to the inside. Look at Meunier, and he has to back out of that one to avoid his nose getting chopped off. That will give Grankvist a switchback maneuver. Fantastic stuff, but it'll be on the outside for Ferradura, which will turn into the outside for Larangina as well. And still, it looks like Winnick was able to hold on to the lead there as the battles rage further down. That was a massive dive from Kropp, who goes sideways and takes to the grass.
To the outside comes Alex Laho, trying to get back on terms with the local driver Murno, but he's not able to do so on the exit of Desida de Largo. Coming uphill to Ferradura again, he goes for the outside. That's very bold, Alex. Surely he's not going to pull that one up, but he is going to try it as he goes into turn 8, and he's going to have the inside for Pinarino, the long banked left-hander there, and Murno will have to back out there. Once again, we've got Laho versus Soriano, much like we saw at Singapore. 2024 Superlights champion versus 25 Superlights champion. DRS wide open. Soriano, the Spaniard, breezes through and up to P14, but Laho late on the brakes, desperate to sort of stop the bleeding here as the green stripes are phasing through Alex Laho there. So that is Murno actually that had a bit of a desync there, and he's back behind Alex Laho, and he's going to try and make the move immediately again. Oh, I really hope they don't do that again, because I think reality might not let them ghost through each other this time. Oh, and there we go. You see my point immediately proved there. As again, this time it's Murno going around the outside and hoping that Laho will let him through, but no such joy. Oh! And again, more contact.
Look at Murno now going right round the outside of Alex Laho, not willing to let bygones be bygones.
Here comes Lalu. He's going to get a chance up the inside. It's not smart to go free wide here into the center S. And Lalu, more contact. And Murno gets sort of half spun around, but Lalu makes it through. Oh, no, and hits the back. Oh, dear. So Murno taps the back of Laho just as he's recovering. Stevens is been picked off by Meunier. Look at them side by side through the center S, banging wheels. Stevens desperate to keep this P2, but Meunier uses a bit of push pass down the Reda Aposta up to Desida de Largo. Turn 3. Is it going to be the spark around the outside that sticks its nose in? Oh, Stevens forces him the long way around, And I tell you what, Macho Minute will be loving this because they're dropping further and further in the rearview mirror. It's finally kicked off.
The difference being, of course, the drivers at the
Martin.
front, such as Carlos Martin here, who's lining up a move on Jan Grankvist, goes to the inside, and look at Grankvist cutting back at him there. And Royal pits, Stefan Royal into the pits. Jeffrey Fournier, meanwhile, jumps into the pit lane.
Now we see Singh and Frelick going into the pits from 8th and 9th.
Oh.
Leader pits.
And Mounier. So Winnick and Mounier both into the pits on this lap. Tom Stevens leads the race, which means he is still open to the 2-stop. In fact, he would still have
Fournier.
to do the 2-stop. And
Fournier's
Fournier
in
has
between
jumped
them.
him. You're absolutely right. Fournier has jumped him there. As into the pits now come Stevens, Grankvist and Martin. So Tomasz Vok leads the race.
As they go to the pit exit and onto the red Aposta side by side. That's Tyan trying to make a move on Mark Schluter, is it? And he just nips his way through in the P6 there. That was some very, very hard racing. And I think Maggio wants a piece of Schluter now as well.
Does indeed. So Alessandro Maggio ducks to the inside. That was a very late move.
No!
Little bit of contact. Stays pointing in the right direction just about, although kicks it sideways. Tomasz Vok into the pits. Robin Panzer into the pits. Does Schluter go through and lead the race? I think he might have a go at that. And you see them
Stevens
swapping
is
over
right
in the
behind
pit.
Milnek. Sorry, Caitlin. Stevens is right behind Milnek then, so he's actually brilliantly capitalised in this pit stop, whereas Moynier and Grankvist have fallen back in the pack.
Indeed, indeed. So we have Tom Stevens now just on, and actually just ahead. I saw Jarl Tyen going for a move. That was and Lahoo spins it. Lahoo spins it fully around as Maggio there passes Mark Schluter down into turn 1, going up into 4th position.
Yeah, we talked all about Tyen's recovery in this race, but Maggio also has had a brilliant drive so far in a car that's a lot less developed, of course. They haven't finished as many races this season, not scored a point since Spa of the Valley team, as we see Milnek now picking off one of the Fraser Totans. That's Moritz Kropp, of course, we saw being spun around a little bit earlier. Now Tom Stevens is right behind. Surely he's not going to hold up Tom Stevens. Indeed, he leaves the door wide open for the Englishman.
And a big crash! And it's Kropp! And is that Moynier off the road as well? So I think Kropp and Moynier have made contact. Is our championship leader damaged? Let's take a look. So Moynier is going for a move on Moritz Kropp. They're going to come together on the corner exit. Just, he got forced over the grass, and then the car got, it got a bit leery, and he ended up going into the side of Moritz Kropp and skewing off the circuit. That is going to seriously damage Loic Mounier's race, because not only has he lost time, but that's also not going to do well for his tyres. He may have a little bit of damage, we don't know for sure. He's just lucky he kept his front wing in all of that. As Jarl Tyen now takes the lead up the inside of Sven Schubert. Meanwhile, that's Fournier side by side with Grankvist, and going through now up the straight towards Ferradura. Grankvist will have the inside, Fournier's on the outside. Grankvist fends him off, but a great attack there from Jeffrey Fournier. And lining him up in front, is that Grankvist on Schluter by the look of it? Up the inside, Tom Stevens now going through on Maggio, makes it stick, but with a little touch actually. They're lucky not to have got hooked together like Kropp. And a contact around, and Fournier is off, and he's and a big crash takes out. Is that my? Wow. Okay, here we go. So we're on board with Hygo Poom, and he was so unlucky in this. He's going to come around the corner and just see cars going everywhere. And then slewing across the road is Mark Schluter, straight into the side of him. Nothing that Hygo could have done. Here we are on board with Jeffrey Fournier, and this started off between him and Schluter. Has he just run into the back of him? Was there a micro stutter? I think he's just run into the back of him, I'm afraid to say. And then Schluter slews across the road, and I have to say, he should have held the brake there. He absolutely should have held the brake. Mark Schluter, unfortunately, has not done well there to avoid making that a bigger accident. And Hygo Poom taken out, Stefan Roll taken out, other drivers behind doing a fantastic job at avoiding them, but by the time he gets there, it's an absolute mess of flying wheels and smoke. It's like a smoke screen. Look at that! That could have been Mounier's race over several times over.
Here we go, Milnek up the inside into turn 3, they nearly lock wheels. Maggio is up to P2, and that could well be the net lead of the race. And now Stevens sees the sister team being a little bit of a roadblock. Sven Schubert a bit of an awkward moment here. There we go, he lets him through as expected, it be said, and then pulled across in front of Grankvist as if we're not letting you through as well, Jan, but he might have to. Yeah, Maggio fighting with Schubert In the background, though, both of them yet to pit off of the hard tyres. Maggio's got the inside. He's not giving up. Side by side through Ferradura, and it's the Valley that comes out on top there. My goodness. Schubert was not giving up without a fight, but Maggio really forced his hand there. That was fantastic racing.
And I don't think he's lost too much time in traffic either, but look at Carlos Martin now, right with Tom Stevens, taking a look to the outside. Stevens breaks late into fence and sliding sideways like a rally car goes Carlos Martin, more like Carlos Sainz. Fantastic. So he's coming towards Zeeuw. Is it going to be on acceleration out of the corner? There we go, twitches it about and wallop into the barriers.
The problem for Moynier is he's almost certainly going to be racing with Tyne at the end, isn't he? He's got another run as Tyne goes into the pits then, as if on cue. Moynier making the move on Schubert as this is happening, and I think he's made it through cleanly. Schubert is also going into the pits, so no surprise he didn't defend that one.
The only way is up now for Jarl Tyne, as into the pits also comes Carlos Martin. But anyway, Tyne now goes past Michael Falkenhayn. Dax Racing have not had the best of seasons. They had a big score a couple of races ago, but then were immediately repassed by Green Stripes last time out, and that is a big shunt for Daniel Scott. And you can see now he's getting up into P8 past Jose Soriano on much fresher, more able tyres. Down into turn 1 that lap. We're going 3 wide. Look at Tyne contact! Oh my goodness! Tyne has lost a wheel!
Tyne's out!
The dramatic race that we were teeing up the entire time has come to an end. Absolute heartbreak from Jarl Tyne, who squeezed himself to the inside of Singh and caught an ugly, sticky-outy bit of the barrier and was just torn to shreds. It looked as if Singh was squeezing him. It looked as if he was covering him off and didn't quite leave a car's width. But Singh would say that he wasn't entitled to that space. He's lining up Jose Soriano now. Goes to the inside, goes through. Nice move into 8th position. Stevens, he knows that Grankvist is on the attack, and now he's got to pass Winnick to get some clean. And he goes to the inside. Look at Stevens. He takes a look. They nearly touch. Winnick fends him off, and he's going to get the better run down the straight. Look at Grankvist. This will bring him back into contention as well. DRS open on the back of Stevens and Grankvist. Winnick goes extremely defensive, goes to the inside, but not quite far enough. And Stevens takes a look, and Winnick gets the better run through the corner and just about makes it. I think this is Grankvist's turn now to have an attack. He's going to go at it down the straight, goes to the inside. Tom Stevens isn't able to cover him off, and to be honest probably won't want to, because he'll want to get all of that slipstream from Winnick up ahead. Grankvist does get alongside. They lock wheels. They just touch, and he does go through. He manages to hold it, so Jan Grankvist will get through into 2nd position. Now look at Stevens trying to get that switchback maneuver. Goes to the outside line, but Grankvist has it. That is a done deal, I would say. No, it isn't, because he slides. Grankvist slides. Stevens is back alongside him up towards Ferradura. Winnick's gaining a gap, and Grankvist fends him off. And
Panzer P4.
Panzer is up to P4. He has passed Loic Mounier, and importantly, they have done it cleanly. Fantastic. There's 4 tenths in it coming out of Zeeuw. I think he should just about do it, but it's going to be a drag race to the line. Grankvist will get the DRS, but it's surely not quite going to be enough. Up to the line they go, and Maciej Winnick wins his 2nd Grand Prix of the season, takes the victory in Interlagos. Maciej Winnick is the winner for the 2nd time this year. Then it's Jan Grankvist, reigning champion. Then Tom Stevens, Robin Panzer, Loic Mounier, who is for all intents and purposes champion-elect coming into the next round, although he still has to wrap it up. Then it's Carlos Martin, Tomasz Vok, Alessandro Maggio, Jose Soriano, and Dylan Fisher, the top 10. And then we move on to the 2nd slate with Jakub Alalu, Sven Schubert, Szymon Frelick, a disappointing day for Szymon, Jeffrey Fournier and Jorge Marquez. Until Race of Champions. Hello everyone, welcome back, and you are just in time for the start of the Grand Prix. Which Grand Prix? The last one of the year. I know, it's tragic, it really is, but it all comes down to this, and everything has to end at some point. So, the Yas Marina circuit is going to be the host for the final race of the year, the championship decider between Jarl Tyne and Loic Mounier. Just a quick reminder, after that accident for Tyne in the last race, he now has to basically hope that Loic will not have a good race. If Loic finishes in the top 6 at all, then it is over, okay? So that means if Loic Meunier finishes in the top 6, he is the champion of 2025. Even if Loic does not finish in the top 6, Jarl has to basically win the race. There are ways that he could technically win it by not winning the race, but it is unlikely, and I think that his best chance today is just to win the race and then wait and see what Loic does behind him. But it is entirely possible that it will just be down to luck for Jarl Tyne today. And as I said earlier, there has not been a race yet this season out of the 15 Grand Prix we've had where the results from that race would give Jarl Tyne the championship. Even the first race of the year where Loic missed it, Jarl ended up crashing out of that one. So even the results of that race would not give Jarl Tyne the championship today, and he's got to hope for something even better than a 1 in 16 chance. But stranger things have happened. I think of all of the classic Formula 1 championship deciders. I think of the GPWC championship deciders like 2021 that came down to the last lap. It can happen. Miracles do happen in racing, and I guess we just got to see what happens in 58 laps time. But Ed, let's take a quick look back at some of the things that have happened so far this year. It really has been such a back and forth championship fight. And I have to say, earlier in the season, I thought it was going to be Jan Grankvist versus Loic Meunier. That's how it looked after the first few races. Then Stevens started to stick his nose in, and we had a Tom Stevens Grankvist Meunier fight. And it's only really been the last 5 or 6 races that Jarl's really started to turn up. But by God, has he turned up?
Yeah, at the sort of midpoint of the season, I really thought it could have been any one of Loic, Jan, Tom, Jarl, Simon Frelick, and Maciej Milnek as well, who he's had a fair share bad luck this season. I think everybody can attest to at least one race where something didn't work for them, or Jan had those 2 races where he went on holiday as well as obviously a couple of accidents like Singapore where him and Markinev came together. But yeah, it's been lots of brilliant races. So many different winners this season as well. I struggle to think of the last time we've had what, 6 or 7 different winners across the year, if you count Jake Denhan in Germany as well with that one race off. And I wonder if Owen McGorgy is going to make it 8, which certainly would be a big record for the last couple of years. But yeah, from Loic Meunier's point of view, this is that final step, and this is going to be such a high pressure start to this race because he knows he has just got to hold it together, but knowing that there's so much at stake if you get it wrong, that really can creep into your mind. So Loic Meunier needs to build his mind like a steel cage and let nothing interrupt him.
Exactly. There you see the championship standings, but let's take a look quickly at the starting order before we head around to the grid. So this is how they will line up, with Owen McGorgy on pole alongside Maciej Milnek, those two faster than everyone else by quite a long way in qualifying. Then it was Loic Meunier 3rd, Carlos Martin in 4th position. Jarl Tyne goes from 5th. What can he do today? Can he still get one last win? Jan Grankvist is 6th, Thomas Vogt is 7th, and Dylan Fisher is 8th. As you said before, Jan Grankvist, if he hadn't missed those 2 races for his holiday, I think he would have been the champion. Norbert Jaka, P9, then it's Maciej Majka, Mateusz Majka, Mark Schluter. David Krupa goes off 13th in his first race since 2019. And Jorge Markinev is P14, Tom Stevens P15, and P16. We've got Jose Soriano, our Super Light champion, and then Robin Panzer, Alessandro Maggio, and Pascal Pollens. And then on to the next slide, we have Xavi Rose, Chris Shepherd, Moritz Kropp, and Heiko Poo. Kropp briefly left the server after qualifying, so good to see that he has made his way back now. Then we've got Scott Flack, Michael Falkenhayn, Stein Hangraf, and Jeffrey Fournier. And then I think there's only one driver at the back of the grid here because we seem to be missing Alex Lahoe for some reason. So it's going to be Ruben van den Hudding going off P29 on the grid. So 29 out of 30 cars here today, and 58 laps ahead of us in order to decide the order. Let's take a look very quickly, if we can, at the tyre compounds that people are starting on. If you could bring that up for us, Remco. I know the order isn't really showing up on the screen right now, so that might be something we have to wait for. Looks like Jukka-Pekka Lalu should be... maybe Stevens is the top driver on medium tyres. With
But I thought it was top 15 all had to start on soft scaling.
Yeah,
so
but
what's Stevens doing on mediums?
Yeah, but Kropp
the penalty, right. Oh, okay.
I was going to say Kropp had a penalty, so Stevens technically qualified 16th, so he gets free tyre choice. So look out for Stevens and Soriano at the start here on those alternate strategies. And also Lalo, if he can stick himself into the mix. Here come the lights. When they go out, we will be underway for the last time in 2025, which we are now. Watcho Magorgi, he's got a good start. He's on the grippier side of the grid. Winnick is unable to stick with him there. Munier gets through cleanly. Tyne gets through cleanly, but with a little bit of a twitch, and I think it was clean at the back as well, but we still got the faster section of the track to go. We still got the long back straight as well. That's where the overtaking happens. Look at Tyne now to the inside of Carlos Martin. He goes through. He's up to 4th place already. Nicely and cleanly done. Norbert Jakob's up to 7th place. He's had a great start. Now look at Tyne coming under pressure again from Carlos Martin. A little bit of a touch of wheels as they go down the straight. A little bit of side drafting. And Martin's trying to outbrake him around the outside. Tyne's going to have to cut back at it. Oh, he touches him again. There we go. And Martin holds him off. And this is going to hold up Jarl Tyne. He might lose DRS range from Loic Munier up ahead. If he gets past Martin, though, he will be right with his main championship rival, Loic Munier. Right around the outside. Brave as you can. That could have been the end of his race right on the first lap, but he gets through it. I'm afraid we've had an accident at the back. Moritz Kropp and Pascal Pollens are both out of the race already, so that's 2 drivers down and 27 remaining. I'm sure we'll get a replay of that soon. At the end of the first lap, Owen Magorgi leads by a fantastic 1 second. He may even be able to break DRS range from Winnick before Winnick even is able to benefit from it once. Munier is 3rd, Tyne is 4th, so the championship contenders are right up there in 3rd and 4th together, and then Carlos Martin has to settle for 5th after a thrilling opening lap of the race, Ed.
Yeah, that was absolutely critical for Jarl Tyne to pass Carlos Martin there, and Martin definitely doing a few favours for Moynier. It was pointed out at the end of Interlagos that Martin had much fresher tyres at the end of that race due to his strategy, yet he didn't risk a move on Loic Moynier, whereas Robin Pansar very much did. And it's interesting to see Carlos holding his line, as he's entitled to do. TOP definitely in a fight with Super Venturi to hold on to a P2 in the standings as well. And with Grankvist in 6th, they've got a brilliant opportunity to capitalise, especially with Lalu very much out the points, as we're going to see a replay of what happened to Polenz. Oh!
Okay, well there's the accident. Oh my goodness, Polenz goes absolutely careening off the road. Now I didn't see what caused that because I was trying to look up the team standings.
Was it Pansar that spun?
Okay, so we're on board with Polenz. Yes.
Pansar hits Lalu.
Yeah, Pansar spins, and I have to say that was a bit of an opportunistic or optimistic rejoin rather from Pascal Pollens there, right into the side of Moritz Kropp, who I don't believe did anything wrong in that one. And we're going to see it on board Robin Pansar, who does hit Lalu, and then is he going to hit him again going into turn 2? There's the second bit of contact, there it is, and Lalu spins around as well. I do think that Pansar probably could have rejoined at a better angle there. That was a little bit clumsy. And then was that Hygo Poom pulling off at the back as well? Did he continue in the race? But anyway, he's still going. Okay. Well, that's 27 cars from the 29 who started still remaining. A couple of cars badly held up in that one, and it was Hygo Poom who dropped to the back. So he will be the last of the 27 cars, Ed.
Indeed, but oh, look at this. Carlos having another go at Jarl Tyne. He still wants to play, doesn't he? And it looks like Jan Grankvist is slowly trying to join the party. Even Norbert Jakob and Dylan Fischer are being dragged into this one. Martin uses the DRS on that long run to the banked left-hander of turn 9. He's going to try and go clean around the outside, but Jarl Tyne shows him the door, and no way through for Carlos Martin on this occasion, and Jarl was never going to make that one particularly easy. But all of this, Jarl Tyne did set the fastest lap of the race, last lap around, but Loic Mounier was only a 10th slower. He is setting personal bests and purple sectors as well to keep that 1 second gap to Tyen here. So if Tyen could get a break clean away from Carlos Martin, then Mounier might start to feel the pressure here, and maybe even Milnek as well if he can't get on terms with Owen McGorgy here. So Mounier and Milnek may be looking over their shoulders at Jarl Tyen rather than at McGorgy in front of them.
Yeah, that's the thing. Tyen may have had a quick lap there, but Carlos Martin did as well, stuck with him, and actually stuck close enough to make that attempt going down the back straight that time around. And that meant, of course, that his lap 3, Tyen's lap 3, was inhibited by the defensive move he had to pull on Martin. Let's watch them again and see if there's any change this time around. They've lost the DRS to Mounier up ahead, and Carlos does go through on the inside and back up into 4th position. So Carlos goes back through. This has got to be so frustrating from Jarl Tyen, who spoke to me earlier and said that this is the worst he's felt in his sim racing career. He is not in a good place mentally coming into the today's race. But as you can see, he's getting right back on the horse. He's gone right back around the outside of Carlos Martin and straight back up into 4th position, Ed.
Yeah, maybe even getting DRS might actually slightly help him, even though... Oh, as he goes really, really wide, coming out of 10 and 11, and has to defend as Carlos gets a bit of a wheel to the face there as he desperately tries to find a way around the outside at a corner that's not really an overtaking opportunity, and the Jarl Tyen train is starting to form behind him here, and it's Martin that's at the head of it, and you can see it stretches all the way down to Mark Schluter in 10th, I believe, with Davide Krupa, Micah, Vril, Stevens, Shepard, and then Maggio as well. So Chris Shepard has just gotten by Alessandro Maggio. So him and Stevens on the harder compounder tyre, they will be running long and become a bit more of a factor once these guys pit, of course.
Characteristic mistake there for Jarl Tyen. He's normally absolutely metronomic on the soft tyres, which is how he's able to gain so much time in these races. And now he's got Carlos Martin coming back at him just as he did a lap ago. He knows he can't even go defensive, because if he did, he'd lose too much time and Martin would get through anyway. And plus, he's got this whole second part of the straight in order to try to get back through. He had a little bit of a twitch, but he should still have enough straight to get back at Carlos Martin. Last time around, he went right around the outside of the TOP esports driver, and he's going to do the same thing again. They're swapping places back and forth. Sometimes you can benefit from that by doing a kind of Indianapolis style slipstream duo like tandem drafting, but in this case it's not working, and they continue to drop back from Loic Mounier, who is several seconds up the road. They're losing time hand over fist, and it's also got to be frustrating for Carlos Martin, who keeps pulling that same overtake and yet can't make it stick because of that second part to the straight, Ed.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's kind of stalemate between the two, with the DRS sort of countering each other. Meanwhile, Mounier is starting to fight a little bit with Maciej Milnek, but he is still got that 3.5 second, 5 second gap, I think we're seeing on stream here, isn't it, to Jarl Tyen, because of all that help from Carlos Martin, essentially. But yeah, Milnek is not going to be really holding the door out for Loic Mounier here, and certainly Owen McGorgy will be running his own race. If Owen can still win this one and not have to get too involved in the championship fight, I think that would be ideal for him, as now Carlos is coming back up the inside into the turn 6 and 7 chicane here. It's very, very close. Tyen is going to lock wheels if he's not careful here, and he leaves just enough room between the two, and Jan Grankvist is hovering menacingly, diving for the middle between the two, and they nearly hit each other. That was almost an airplane crash between all three of them, and Carlos wisely backs out Jarl Tyen back into P4 again.
Somehow they all stay in the same order. Look at Martin, look at Grankvist, Norbert Jakob now taking a look as well. This is fantastic stuff between the three of them. Norbert Jakob, I don't think, is making his Super League debut today. I think he has made some starts before, although I will double check that very shortly. I know that Micah, Matthias Micah, I didn't say Maciej.
I'm pretty sure it is Norbert's debut. Because I think
okay,
when
fantastic.
he did Super Lights, he'd not done any GPV before, although he has driven for the Go Team squad in a Virtual Endurance Championship where they won the Hypercar Crown. So he's part of that winning squad there in endurance racing. So he's brought some wonderful pedigree, won a couple of Superlights races as well for, was it True North Motorsport? I think he dived in for them at the middle of the season. So yeah, Norbert, one of our new poles to the championship, along with Maciej Milnek and Simon Frelich, definitely one to watch for the future. As here's the present, Carlos Martin back up the inside. I've seen this one before. This feels like we're stuck in a time loop here. Martin makes the move here, and then time will get the DRS coming out of turn 7 on the run towards 8 and 9.
Let's see if it's the same thing again. There's also the possibility that they'll be using up push to pass in this battle, which could affect them further down the line as well. And this time, Tyne is not close enough to get back at Carlos Martin. So that is a successfully completed move there for Carlos. And now Jarl could come under pressure from Jan Grankvist and Norbert Jakob. You're absolutely right about Jakob, by the way. This is his Super League debut. I think he'd made such an impact in Superlights that I completely forgot he hadn't done a Super League race at all. But yeah, you're absolutely right. He was second in the Superlights Championship this year with 3 victories to his name. Missed a race midway through the year, which I'm sure he'll be absolutely regretting now. But yes, what an impact he's making on his debut here today. David Krupa is making a return to the series. Like I said, first time since 2019 that he's raced in Super League, where he raced for the short-lived YTF1 squad. I say short-lived, I mean short-lived in Super League. They were obviously around GPWC for a bit longer than that. And of course, Mateusz Majka is making his Super League debut as well, having won both the Formula Sprint Championship, Formula Sprint 2 Championship a year ago, and the Formula Sprint 1 Championship this year. Definitely look out for Mateusz in future races, because he is an absolute superstar in the making in that very reddish Fraser Tartan car that we got today, and with the big FTR logo on the side. It reminds me
lead
of
change. Milnek takes the lead.
Reminds me of an Alfa Romeo, but yeah, Maciej Winnick there has taken the lead of the race. You're absolutely right, and that has come out of nowhere, because a lap ago they were separated by nearly a second. So we'll have to take a look back and see if anything happened. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a mistake for Magorki there. You can see that by this point Maciej is already on his tail and already close enough for a move. And now we're watching him as he... And Magorki does not close the door. In fact, it almost looks as if he's inviting him through there. Just leaves a gap wide open on a straight which isn't very straight. Normally drivers stick right to the inside curb. And yet he's kept it wide. So Magorki... And what's happening here?
Yeah, look at Magorki through turn 1. He keeps just track extending a little bit too much and going a little bit off track and having to rejoin. I wonder if that cost him a bit of time, allowed Milnek to get close enough to use DRS down this straight, then got him close enough to make the move through turn 8 like we saw then, essentially. So now Loic Moynier is going to spread the pain here. And yeah, Magorki, him and Moynier know each other very, very well here. So this should be a good, clean fight between the two. As we see Grankvist now is passing Jarl Tyne. It is all starting to go against our man second in the championship, the lead driver for THR. The rear tyres are starting to fade, and maybe even Norbert Jakob could start causing a few problems for him. So this is definitely not the way Jarl Tyne would wanted his championship challenge to end, but he has to go on fighting. He can't give up.
Exactly right. By the way, as we're watching Norbert Jakob, Peter Davies Racing has corrected me in the YouTube chat saying WTF1 squad, ? Did I forget something? I meant YTF1. Although that was the year that Super League was sponsored by WTF1, so I guess I wasn't too far off. But anyway, into the pits, that looked like Owen McGordon coming in. This is very early indeed. Now, we knew that the soft tyres weren't going to last long here. They've got, I think it's some of the softest compounds that they've got today. But I wasn't expecting him to be in after just 9 laps of racing. This is very early indeed. And you can see him going onto the hard tyres now. You can see him racing Shimon Frelich's car, hence the FRE and the Shimon Frelich style helmet that he's got there. Shimon, who won the Silverstone round earlier this season, and Magorki trying to add to that, but this will definitely be at least a 2-stop strategy for him. And now he's under pressure as he comes out of the pits from a Green Stripes car. Not
That's
sorry,
Hangraf.
that was, yeah, Stein Hangraf.
Handgraf, of course, didn't have to go under the tunnel there, so he got a much faster run up. And that was a little cheeky, just weaving around. He knew McGorgy probably was going to have the fresher tyres there, as Jakob has actually passed the Altan while we've been away. And Grankvist has passed Martin up to third now. So yeah, here's a replay of this move, and this is not a sight that Tyne will be used to at all this season, seeing a Stax fly right past him. And in terms of the team's championship, this is absolutely crucial for Stax, because if they can finish with Norbert Jakob in P4 today, that would be enough to get them ahead of Green Stripes in the battle for the wooden spoon to not finish last in this championship. So yeah, Soriano is a couple places outside the points, but Jakob may well be doing enough on his own to overhaul them.
Yeah, exactly. Now, ironically,
Tyne pits.
Yeah, as Jarl Tyne comes into the pits now. Ironically, I was going to say, Jarl Tyne himself is always telling us to talk more about the upgrades that go into the cars over the course of the season. And he is right to say that his main rivals at Stax have a much better upgraded car and theoretically should be faster. But something you wouldn't be used to would be getting overtaken by a Stax racing car, which is in theory an inferior car. Norbert Jakob absolutely outdriving his machinery here today. But Tyne now gets those fresh tyres on, comes out of the pits alongside... Oh my goodness, and nearly touches the back of an Edge Esports car. Schluter, and he's a couple of cars back now from Owen McGorgy. Potentially, no, I was going to say he's a bit closer.
Schluter's undercut him, because Schluter pit the lap before, along with...
he has, yes. Good spot, good spot. And here comes Tyne. He's trying to come back at Mark Schluter and does get back through on the inside. Nice and cleanly done. But you're right that Schluter had initially jumped ahead of him. And actually McGorgy has gained time even through this pit window as well. So now Jarl Tyne is lining up. Robin Panzer goes to the outside line and tries to go around the outside in the move that he's pulled on Carlos Martin on a couple of occasions already today, and makes it stick, goes up into what is now 22nd place, but in theory will be much higher up the order.
Yeah, as we see Dylan Fisher now coming into the pits from P7 then. So what do you think is going on here, Caitlin? I think this is sort of two stop versus one stop this is turning into, where the likes of McGorgy and Tyne are definitely two stopping, whereas I think Moynier, Milnek, Grankvist, Martin, Jakob are all going to try and one-stop it.
Yeah, indeed. I think a one-stop
is going to be... too.
See, a one-stop is bold. If you can only do 9 or 10 laps on a soft tyre, I can't imagine you can do a full race or, you know, half a race on the hard tyres or whatever. So I think you learn in this job quite quickly never to write anything out on strategy, as you see Lalu now side by side with Scott Flack and getting through into P12. But yeah, you learn very quickly not to write anything out. People can do some crazy long stints on even medium tyres. But yeah, I do think it would be bold, and I'm not sure that it's going to be particularly competitive today, especially since this is a track where you absolutely can overtake. Definitely consider the two-stop to be the quicker strategy. I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of those races where, in theory, on paper at least, the three-stop strategy would be quicker. But then, of course, you get the problem where you have to overtake people on the road. And now Winnick and Mounier and Grankvist have all pitted. Norbert Jakob follows them in. So Carlos Martin leads the race, Ed.
Yep, there we go. So Martin definitely using the tyre preservation to good effect. This puts Tom Stevens, who started on the hards, in 15th position on the grid, up to third then, with Maggio 6 seconds behind on the same strategy, holding off Ross and Soriano then. As where have our leading runners emerged? McGorgy, I think, has jumped Milnek back ahead, and Moynier has come out third behind them, with Grankvist some distance behind as well, with Handgraf in between himself and Moynier then. So Jarl Tyne not really been able to gain by pitting earlier. He's had too much traffic to make his way through.
I was going to say, remember when Winnick worked his way past Owen McGorgy earlier on? That has now been completely reversed once again. And that is because of the undercut, where McGorgy got on those new tyres quicker and was able to just hot lap his way past the virtual gap that Winnick was going to lose by pitting. Maciej Majka there. Matthias Majka, I've done it again, good lord. This reminds me of, there was a driver called Oliver Ellis Richardson, racing in Formula Sprint 1 a few years ago. I kept on calling him Oliver Ollis. Oliver Ellis was his actual name, but my brain could not compute that. So I do apologise, Mateusz, when you watch this back. I know full well that your name is not Mache, but I could keep getting it wrong anyway. Carlos Martin now pits, so Tom Stevens will go back through to the lead. Tomasz Vok goes through as well, but they are only out for as long as their tyres last. Tomasz Vok still on those soft tyres, and actually the last driver to start on soft tyres yet to make a pit stop. And out of the pits comes Carlos Martin now. Meunier's gone through. Grankvist, I think, has jumped Carlos, and Stein Hangraf getting into and amongst the mix as well. But anyway, and that was
look who's just come out in front of. It's the Altine again. Well, round 3.
I was going to say, if they thought their battle was over, they are sorely mistaken. Are they on the same tyre compound? I thought that looked a bit yellow
Seems to
for
be.
Altine there. But is it hard tyres? We'll see that again in a second. As they slipstream their way past Stein Hangraf there. Those do look like the yellow-walled medium tyres. So I think, actually, that Yartayan has gone for something a bit different here. And could he potentially be setting up a 3-stop Yartayan? Keep an eye on that one.
Well, it's a sort of situation where he's got to roll the dice and hope he can make something happen here, because at the moment, he's not really doing enough. He needs to at least finish on the podium at the moment. He is starting to be played out of the podium fight, so he needs to make up ground in this race. Why not do something different to what everybody else is doing and use the compound softer and see if he can use those wonderful tyre preservation skills, that brilliant car control to make a difference here. But Abu Dhabi, really your best chance to overtake is with the DRS then, as we see in comes Thomas Vack for Road to Formula, the sole remaining Road to Formula. Scott Flack also enters the pits for Stax then in one of his second or third appearances in Super League as well. And that's going to release the likes of Mark Schluter, Norbert Jakab, and Mateusz Majka. So I think Schluter's also gotten ahead of Jakab in all of this, although Norbert has got significantly fresher tyres, and Tyen has been able to clear both of them as well now, as we see side by side between Hangraf and Schluter. And in theory, Mark Schluter should have this one quite comfortably. As you can see, Meunier has just cleared Jukka-Pekka Laulu in the foreground there. It's a crucial move for our championship leader, eking closer and closer to that title-winning position. If he can just finish P6, then he'll be champion no matter what. Let's remind ourselves he's P7 at the moment, so there's absolutely no reason to panic just yet, as Maggio and Soriano side by side. That's Jose Soriano going around the outside at turn 9 and completing the move into 10-11. That was spectacular for the Green Stripes there, and that's a Green Stripes on the podium as things stand at the moment. Of those, these guys yet to pit though off of the harder compounds.
Yeah, of course. In reality, the podium is still Magorgi and Meunier. As into the pits there, you see Alessandro Maggio pulling off. There he goes. Alessandro, who was thrilled to have finished the last race at Brazil, and actually finished very, very well, making up so many positions right from the back of the field. Jukka-Pekka Laulu also coming into the pits now. A brief yellow flag out on the circuit, but they carry on their way, whoever it was. In terms of the race, I'm a little bit concerned about Yartayan's progress here, because he's got to get past Carlos Martin. If he does not do that, then his tyre advantage with the medium compound of rubber is going to be completely slashed, and every lap that he spends behind Carlos gives Carlos more and more of a strategic advantage. And at the minute, I don't see him getting past Carlos. I think even if he did get past Carlos, as Magorgi there runs a little wide chasing down Jose Soriano, even if Tyen managed to get past Martin, Martin would probably slipstream him back again on the second part of the straight. But anyway, Magorgi has now managed to get past
Majka in trouble. So our debutant has hit issues and he's fallen out the points gatling. Here he is.
You're right, there was a yellow flag and he was dropping at the time. Does he still have his wing? He does.
Looks
that
like
may
it.
have just been a quick spin.
Yeah, probably an incident then. So we'll see if we can get a replay of that. Stevens now pits from the lead. So that's the first of our medium runners to visit the pit lane. You can see there is that Soriano and Jakab. Oh, and there we go. He spins, almost trying to avoid them there. That was a very odd incident.
Yeah, okay, here we go. It's almost like he didn't expect to see those two cars fighting up in front and then slowing on the exit of the corner.
He hit the curb. He hit the curb.
He did, and he did tag the wall actually, so he's lucky that wasn't a little bit harder. I've seen some quite light dinks end up ripping front wings off cars before, so he's very lucky to have got away with that. But anyway, still running, and if you can finish your first Grand Prix, you can at least add yourself to the list of people who have done so. So hopefully he can still get it to the flag, and actually he still has a good chance of finishing in the points with the speed he's shown so far. Loic Mounier now on the back of Jose Soriano has to clear this traffic quickly to stick with the likes of Winnick and McGorgy. And don't think for any minute that just because Mounier only needs to score good points today, that means that he's going to go any steadier, because really I don't think that's in a racing driver's nature. I think he's just going to push on and see what he can do. Okay, maybe he won't take any really bold moves, he simply doesn't have the reason to, but I don't see him passing up an opportunity to win this race or finish on the podium if he can, and he absolutely can with the pace that he's shown so far today.
Yep, it's certainly going to be interesting to see the pace of Grankvist, who's looked slightly quicker actually last couple of laps than Milnek and Mounier, although Owen McGorgy in clear, unsurprisingly starting to retake control, although Milnek's still within DRS range, as now Grankvist has got to clear Jose Soriano, who's running longer than anybody. I think he is almost certainly committing to the one-stop. Stevens pit the lap before, and he's come out in 10th position right behind Norbert Jakob, so Stevens is turning into a bit of a dark horse, as he tends to strategically. He likes to run long and give himself plenty of options here, as now we see Martin clears Soriano almost in line with Jan Grankvist there. They arrive as one into the turn 6 and 7 chicane there, and then it's going to be Jarl Tyne's turn to pick off the green stripes of Soriano then. So Martin, as we saw in Interlagos, could be a bit of a threat to Grankvist at this phase of the race then, as we see Stevens about to line up Norbert Jakob around the outside at turn 9.
He is. He's far enough ahead going into the corner, and he does get through. And that is for position, of course. Don't be fooled by the fact that Jakob is driving a stacks. That was an important move there for Tom Stevens, who's been running behind Jakob for all of the race up until this point. Of course, Stevens is on an alternate strategy. He pitted after Norbert Jakob, and I think with the pace that he's shown, he should be on course for a higher position in the net order. But even so, he needed to make that move, and he did that very nicely indeed. Probably move of the race so far. As we watch the leader once again, you can see that McGorgy has not got rid of the likes of Winnick and Mounier, and in fact Grankvist and Martin and those drivers are all gaining back up again. Even Jarl Tyne is really starting to push now. The trouble, of course, is that in GPVWC Super League you always see these DRS trains forming, and the trouble with that is that even if you do get the lead, it's not always the best place to be. It gives you less of a chance to react to what other drivers are doing. It also means that you encounter back markers first. It means that you wear out your tyres if you want to push, that sort of thing. But it does mean that you get to control the pace of the race a little bit more, and you still want to be out in front, of course, because that gives you the best position strategically. Jarl Tyne now has gone through on Jose Soriano, as meanwhile Tom Stevens passes Mark Schluter for 8th position, and I think Norbert Jakob's lost another place to Tomasz Vogt there. I don't think this second stint for Jakob has been quite as impressive as his first stint, but it might be that he's not quite as strong on the tyres that he's on now compared to the soft tyres he started the race on.
Yep, certainly. Vac pit about 4 laps ago, Jakob pitted 6 laps ago, so Vac has that 2-lap delta, but maybe a bit of inexperience at this level, and the stacks historically has not been the easiest car to drive, I think it's fair to say. It certainly hasn't had the development that the likes of TOP and Spark and HRT have had across the season, being I hesitate to say back marker because that feels a bit harsh on Christian Zerner and the team, because they have scored in recent events a number of points, but yeah, they have been a bit hard. They've not come by them too easily. They haven't exactly been tripping over themselves in points at the moment. So we see our lead pack really bunching together. It's TOP breaded sandwich, McGorgy at the front, Martin at the rear. And if these guys all fight each other, then maybe Jarl Tyne, who you saw with Soriano, he wasn't taking too many risks. I think he knows his best chances if it kicks off ahead of him. He's maybe in play here, and maybe Stevens on this alternate strategy could help him out as well if he ends up ahead of this group through doing one stop less potentially. If he can use that infamous tyre saving ability that he's used to good effect to several Super League Grand Prix wins at this point in his career then, as Moynier in the middle of this train then, as he has been all race, not really able to make an impression on Milnek, and maybe there's a sense that if he just stays where he is, he knows the titles can be his. He doesn't need to win these battles, doesn't need to even fight them to come out on top here. But at the same time, having that buffer gives you a little bit of security, gives you a bit of peace of mind, whereas Jarl Tyne is in a must-win scenario. He's got to risk everything at the moment.
Yeah, Jarl's definitely got the harder position to be in, and to be honest, like I said earlier, it's basically luck for Jarl Tyne. He's just got to do the best that he can do, win this race, see what he can do from there, and then wait to see if Loic Mounier can do all that he can do. If Jarl does win the race, of course, Mounier would need to be in the top 6, which looks exceedingly likely right now. I don't see many ways where Loic would finish even outside of the top 5 as it stands. And to be honest, I think the most likely scenario is that Loic ends up on the podium. But Jan Grankvist here, and Carlos Martin immediately behind him, would like to dispute that. They are getting closer, and there's Stevens now clearing Jose Soriano himself, just to make sure that he can get into the fight as well.
Yeah, now that means next car is Jarl Tyne, so you would think THR might do a little switcheroo here. So we will see. And I think I've just read a very old message from you, Caitlin, so I'm going to disregard that and assume that's taken care of. But yeah, nonetheless, this is an interesting situation then, because the Jarl Tyne, the big championship hope, but Stevens has got the fresher tyres at this point in the race, as Soriano is finally going to come in for that first stop on lap 22, which is almost half distance. So I definitely think he might try and go mediums to the end, but they may even try and split the difference and do a 2-stop here. They've certainly got the flexibility to do so at Green Stripes then. So Soriano trying to bring himself into play so Green Stripes can cover off any assault from Norbert Jacob at this phase of the race then, as Soriano puts on another set of hard tyres. Okay, we'll have to see if that's accurate or not. I suspect he might have put the mediums on in reality. So then, lap 22 of 58, and McGorgy still leads by 6/10 from Mathieu Milnek, who's 6/10 ahead of Loic Moynier, and the deadlock continues because it's stalemate between them. Jan Grankvist half a second behind, Carlos Martin another half second behind. They're all shuffling for position, but you can see Tyne starting to be caught by about a second per lap by Tom Stevens at the present moment here. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see, because Stevens is going a couple of tenths faster than the race leaders on his set of tyres then. So he is absolutely in contention for a podium, depending on how this all filters out. And Jarl Tyne may have to either just extend and sort of hang in there in this stint and let Stevens go, or will Jarl decide to go down fighting here and not lose his position in the queue, because he is matching the pace of Martin ahead of him, but only just at the present moment. And as I say, Stevens in the 1:24.8 right now. Then outside of our top 7, a crucial top 7, of course, because 7th place is the position that Loic Moynier needs to drop down into. We've got Thomas Vack in 8th, Mark Schluter 9th, and Norbert Jacob currently rounding out the top 10, a couple of seconds ahead of Stefan Rott there. So Jacob still benefiting from the DRS from the back of Schluter, and Schluter, who pit 13 laps ago, his tyres will start to fade at this phase, so Norbert Jacob may have an opportunity here to regain a position then, but otherwise in our top 7 it's all looking pretty static right now.
Okay, so nearly at the halfway point in the race, Norbert Jacob lining up Mark Schluter and Tomasz Vok just up the road. It almost looks as if Jakob's had a bit of a second wind in his tyres now, which kind of makes sense, since obviously they are hard tyres. They do better the longer in the stint you run them. Not necessarily in general, but in relation to your opponents around you. And I think Jacob maybe took a little bit of a while to get up to speed on those tyres, but now he's got the heat into them. He can start pushing them as they want to be pushed. Norbert Jacob, one of the debutants out on the road today, along with his fellow lower category champion Matej Schmeichel, done it again. And obviously the former Sprint 2 champion Sandeep Singh has made a couple of outings this year as well, and it's great to see drivers from lower formulas stepping up. Oh, and I'm afraid Matthias Maika is out of the race, so that means one of our debutants will not be finishing here today, and I swear I just saw another driver out of the race as well.
I think Falkenhayn is gone as well.
Falkenhayn, okay, so we'll see a replay of what happened to Maika, and we'll have to see if it's related to Falkenhayn as he goes up the straight. Oh, and disconnects. Okay. And if Falkenhayn disconnected at the same time, then that would demonstrate that it might be a server-wide thing. But it looks as if Falkenhayn has pulled up and retired to the pit lane. So 25 cars remaining out of the 29 who started this race. Obviously, one of the Road to Formula cars was absent from the very beginning. But 24 now left because Ruben van den Hudding has joined the list of DNFs. So all of a sudden, I'm afraid, Ed, they're dropping like flies.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's happened to Dylan Fisher either, because he's fallen to what's now the back of the field, and he was fighting he was in the top 10 on the grid, and he seemed to really lose out at the first pit stop phase. So something happened to our number 23 aka Hero car, which is a shame, because I think Dylan has had a lot of bad luck this season. Brilliant pole position at Monza, as we see actually while we watch those replays, the THRs have swapped and Jarl Tyne has let Tom Stevens through. This is what befell Fisher then. He's already at the back of the pack, and I think he's had a second issue here. That AK Hero not handling very well up the... Oh, as he has a bit of a bumpy ride there on the exit of 2 and 3. But yeah, he has incurred some damage somewhere.
He's lucky to have got away with that, actually. Those bumps, those curbs are absolutely brutal on the exit of turn 3. I remember in the Super League Young Drivers test a couple of years ago, I flipped the car on one of those curbs. And these cars are remarkably heavy, so the fact you can flip one of them off the curb shows you just how brutal it is. Now look how close the leaders all are. Carlos Martin following Granqvist, following Mounier, following Winnick, following McGorgy. It's an absolute scrimmage for the lead. And there's a little bit of a gap between Mounier and Granqvist, but they're within, well, they're within speaking distance, basically. And Maciej Winnick was lining up on McGorgy down the straight there. No doubt he was at least thinking about taking a look for a move. But at the same time, sometimes it's not the best thing to do. You can end up... If you fail to make a maneuver, you can end up losing out even more time than you seek to gain in the first place. Tom Stevens here looks to be swapping with his teammate Jarl Tyne, is forced to go the longer way around, so that didn't necessarily look like team orders, and he was able to use the DRS and just power his way through. And considering he's on, as you see, Ruben van den Hudding crashing out, and that's why he's DNF'd from the race. But yeah, considering that Stevens is on a slightly different strategy to Jarl here, and definitely appears to be the quicker driver at this point in time, I think strategically speaking, that made sense.
Yeah, and you can feel the top 5 now are starting to panic, knowing that Stevens on 9-lap old tyres, relatively fresh. It's like 3 laps, 4 laps fresher than a lot of the drivers ahead of him. McGorgy, of course, has got the oldest tyres. That's why he's struggling the most at the front of this train. There's a small gap for Milnek up the inside into turn 9, and Maciej Milnek retakes the lead then for... This is the 3rd race in a row that Milnek has led. He is having a brilliant end to this season, isn't he? Could he end with 2 wins in a row, as McGorgy now is falling into the clutches of Moinier, and Milnek is making a bid for freedom.
Yeah, good things come in threes for Maciej Winnick. I remember one time, I don't remember if it was last year or the season before, when he won 3 races in a row and then just kind of faded back into the mid-pack.
He's also had
again.
3 disconnects in a row this season as well before.
Oh, that's also true. So maybe bad things come in threes for Winnick as well. But yeah, Maciej, the last couple of races, has really taken a step up, and I've always known that he's capable of it. But
Tyne in the pits.
Yeah, Tyne pits. When Maciej Winnick is on his day, I think he is absolutely the best driver in the pack. I'm sure others would have something to say about it. Jarl Tyne, I don't think this has been his day so far. He has not really been as involved in the fight as we would have liked to see, but still plenty of time left to go in the race. He's put on another set of medium tyres by the look of it. Let's take a look at the colour of the... Yeah, another set of mediums. This is a 3-stopper for Jarl Tyne, surely.
Well, he seems to like these mediums. So let's see if he can make good use of them. He did at least catch up to the train in front of him as we see Jakab going side by side with Schluter into turn 6, and he has cut him off there. So good move from the Stax driver. I did say he was Polish earlier. He is in fact Hungarian. So certainly that's my contribution to the commentary mistakes today, Caitlin. As Schluter tries to use DRS to get his own back, but not close enough on this occasion. The current FSR World Champion, to gain that position. As Xavi Ross now round the outside of Jeffrey Fournier, who started at the very back of the grid. Fournier has been forced to do a pretty unconventional strategy, 13 laps on the soft tyre, and now I think 13 laps on the hards. So yeah, these two definitely bringing themselves into contention. McGorgy does come in, and I think that was expected after time stop. He had to cover him off.
Does. So with 30 laps to go, I think it would be, to be honest, again, this looks like a 3-stop strategy, because that would be pushing it even on the hard tyres. Mark Schluter into the pits again. It is hard tyres for this this batch, and it shows you just how much they're pushing it today and how squishy the tyres actually are on these race cars. Nothing compared to a few years ago. I remember the 2017 season, the winner of this race made 7 pit stops, which was quite something. You're not going to be seeing that today. Very different regulations to what we had back then, but even so, sometimes it is actually better on paper to make more pit stops and get those fresh tyres on. Carlos Martin now lining up Jan Grankvist for what will be 3rd position as they get closer and closer to that long double left-hander. Some people treat that corner even as a triple left-hander, but really I think you need a nice smooth line through there, and I think if you start to get a little bit wider than you want, you start to get onto the less grippy part of the track and you lose control. But Jarl Tyne there going through once again on Jose Soriano. That's at least the 2nd time he's had to overtake the Green Stripes driver today, and goes through into 13th position. He is nowhere near to Owen McGorgy, but I think Jarl is more concerned about the other drivers like Martin, Stevens, Woch, see where he can come out in relation to Norbert Jakab as well.
Yeah, McGorgy's just picked off Maggio that previous lap, and he's lining up Lalu in his sights. It's a bit of a train ahead, but if he can get Lalu on his own, it shouldn't hold him up too much there. Moynier's got a big problem that he's now sort of becoming the head of the train, although Milnek has slowed his pace a little bit that previous lap. So now Moynier will be getting the DRS from Maciej Milnek in front of him, which will sort of help his cause a little bit. As up the inside into turn 5, comes Owen McGorgy, and Lalu knew he wasn't going to be able to do very much to hold the TOP driver off. So Lalu looking like a man who has kind of given up on Super Venturi's hopes of holding on, getting P2 in the teams table. He's sort of hoping that Jan can make the difference here. In fact, they are, let's see, about 8 points ahead of them going into this round then. So yeah, no wonder McGorgy and Martin are throwing absolutely everything at this.
Exactly right. Jukka-Pekka Lalu here, the teammate to Jan Grankvist, will want to help him, but will be a little too far back at the current time of asking, although he can do a good thing for Jan by holding up Jarl Tyne just a little bit as Jarl gets closer. I think there was a move there by, I think McGorgy's just past Jeffrey Fournier, so climbs up that ladder, just one more rung. And it does feel like climbing a ladder when you're coming through the pack like this, just getting step by step closer and closer to where you should, in theory, be. And then it's so satisfying if you actually get to the top by the end of the race. And of course, you may have to do it several times. It may be like sometimes it's like playing snakes and ladders. You know, you step on a snake, you go all the way down, and you think, well, it's part of the game, and you just climb those ladders back up again. Owen McGorgy now has Xavi Rose to go past, and he has a good length of straight to do it in, so he should be able to get through pretty straightforward here, and lines him up. We'll get the DRS open, and that will be nice and easy.
Yeah, and he's got within 20 seconds of Milnek now, so he's in undercut range for the lead here. So all of our top 5 have basically decided not to respond to McGorgy and stretch out this stint so that they'll have fresher tyres later on, which we saw Milnek use to good effect to sort of take the lead there. So yeah, this will be interesting to see how everybody plays this. This is Jarl Tyne now going around the outside of Maggio, and just about completing the move. Maggio did well not to hit the back of the THR there. Certainly didn't want to get himself in trouble, as the tyres on that Valet are looking a little bit second-hand. They wouldn't pass an MOT, that's for sure. As we see, they've done 14 laps at this point, and the rears are sliding around everywhere.
So, we are now past the halfway point in the race. We are 3 laps over the halfway point in the race. And it looks to me as if pretty much everybody has to make another pit stop. For some of these drivers, they may be able to do it on just one more, on just 2 stops in total. For example, if the leaders extend it just a little bit further, they may still have a chance at a 2-stop. And that might be their only chance, because with Owen McGorgy charging hard on this 3-stop strategy, with Tyen trying it as well, they are definitely going to undercut the likes of Munich and Munier and Grankvist at this rate. McGorgy is, at least. And I think if any of those drivers want to win this race, their best chance is to extend and see if they can do that until Owen McGorky catches up to them. Jarl Tyen here, a little bit stuck in traffic. Let's see what he can do about Geoffrey Fournier up ahead. Keep in mind that it was being stuck in traffic that cost him so dearly 2 weeks ago at the Brazilian Grand Prix, when some of that traffic ended up being a little bit sharper than the rest of it. And that's the risk that you take, starting a bit further down the field, or making 3 stops and putting yourself further down the pack. And racing is all about risk, but sometimes you just have to keep your fingers crossed and hope. Whoa, as Xavi Royster bounces off the barriers just a little bit. And Jarl Tyen would have been getting Nicholas Latifi flashbacks, I think, as Tom Stevens now pits, as does an Adonis car, was that? Or it was an Epic car?
Fournier and Lally.
Along with Lally, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, I think the only PTSD that Jarl will be getting is seeing the back of that Epic racing car to the events of Interlagos. But yeah, luckily Geoffrey Fournier was not the one involved on that occasion, so no, definitely no NML Steam. That was a very clean sequence of events. It's been a fairly clean race so far, actually, all things considered. Obviously, a couple of crashes near the back end. As here we go, Moynier going for the lead, and Milnek leaves the door open there, and so our championship leader finally takes the lead of the race then on lap 32. So we have still got a good 26 laps to go. But yeah, Loic Moynier decides now's the moment to strike, and Milnek certainly starting to feel a bit of pain on those tyres then. And I wonder, they've got the same tyre life as well, so I think Moynier's just done a better job of saving them at this point. Milnek might be pit lane bound before too long.
What a climactic way to end the season it would be if Loic Mounier was to finish on the top step of the podium for his 3rd victory of the year. We're way too far from the end to really talk about that too much, but it would probably be the best way to wrap up the championship. I have to say, the neutral part of my brain, the bit that just wants to see a good fight, kind of wanted to see Jarl Tyen win the race today, just so that it was up to what Loic Mounier could do behind him. But of course, Loic Mounier finishing on the top step would leave absolutely no doubt as to who deserves the championship. We still have a good 25 laps to go in this race though, and at least one more pit stop from pretty much every driver, if not every driver. And possibly even 2 stops from some of them as well, depending on how well they do with their tyres. Right now, the way I see this going is McGorgy still continuing to climb up that rung. Tyen is getting closer to him, actually. I'm going to take a look at his lap times in a bit, but Tyen's last few lap times have been good. Soriano now passes Alessandro Maggio for P11. But yeah, the way I see this now is as a race between Owen McGorgy and Jarl Tyen climbing up through the field, and then Mounier, Winnick, Grankvist, etc. trying to extend and trying to fend them off on older tyres. This is going to be fun.
Don't forget about Tom Stevens as well, because he's just made his second stop, hasn't he? And come out right behind Xavi Ross. Is only a second behind Jarl Tyen then. So if he can clear Ross quickly, like we saw Tyen do, then yeah, Stevens can absolutely be a huge factor here. He needs to make sure he's in the pit window of Moynier, because right now Moynier, Milnek pit, they're going to come up behind McGorgy and Tyen, but ahead of Tom Stevens crucially. So that's absolutely crucial for THR, that they can get to the front, control this one, and at least force Loic Moynier to react to what they're doing, essentially.
The Artayan's lap times are about 7 tenths of a second faster than the leaders at this point in time. This is the Yartayan charge that we're used to, that we saw last time out, that we saw in Monza, that we saw in so many other races over the course of the year, as Magorki now gets his way past Norbert Jakob. In the background, Tom Stevens gets his way past Xavi Roos. He now has a clear line of sight between himself and his teammate, who he was able to clear earlier on. Let's take a look at Tom Stevens' lap times just quickly. They are about the same as Yartayan right now, so he's not gaining on him, but also he's setting about the same laps, and part of that would have been down to traffic. Jose Soriano is setting personal bests, but the fastest driver on track on that last lap was actually Geoffrey Fournier, who I think may be on soft tyres actually, so that would make sense. But yeah, Fournier with the fastest lap of the race, and Grankvist pits.
Yeah, so Grankvist decides to pit the moment that Stevens passes Ross then, so this is critical. Is he going to come out ahead of Tom Stevens?
We've had a retirement as well for Scott Flack, I'm afraid to say, who had a big crash last time out in Brazil. But yeah, that means 23 drivers.
Wasn't it Daniel Scott that had the big crash?
Didn't they both have a big crash?
I don't remember Scott flying. I think he finished very low down. But anyway, that's by the by. Out comes Grankvist. Where is Tom Stevens? I think Stevens is ahead.
Okay. Yes, indeed. Tom Stevens is 2 cars ahead and about 3 seconds in total. So Stevens has indeed jumped Jan Grankvist, and I saw that coming from a mile off because Stevens' lap times have been very good indeed. I think his last lap time was quicker than Tyan, as you can see Grankvist immediately clearing the likes of Xavi Roos. We're going to see a replay now of Scott Flack as he comes out through that penultimate corner. He's got 2 right-handers to go. Is it going to be the same as Ruben van den Hudding? He's actually going to hit the wall on the other side and very nearly cleans out a Green Stripes car who got so lucky to avoid that one.
That was Handgraf. So yeah, that would have been a terrible way for both of their seasons to end, with these two teams fighting each other in the battle near the back end of the championship. And that was inches away, if less than that, centimetres, millimetres, I think, from the rear wing of the Green Stripes there. So Scott Flack, the Australian, it's certainly not an ideal situation, but it could have been so much worse there if he'd taken him out.
Absolutely. Whoa, look at that! It's like a jump scare. I'd expect to see that on a Halloween night horror movie, but anyway, we're a little bit late for that.
A week late, I think, yeah.
Exactly right, but anyway, meanwhile, Tom Stevens' lap was 3 tenths of a second faster than Yartayan's, but both of them were a whole second faster than the leaders. They are well and truly in this one now. Tomasz Vuk has pitted as well, so he's dropped down to 14th place. That should be his last stop of the day. And here is Carlos Martin now on the back of Maciej Winnick. He's been reeling him in for a couple of laps now. I think the top 2 are starting to struggle slightly. Martin clears Winnick way before the corner. You can tell that Winnick didn't want to fight that one. Jose Soriano has also cleared Xavi Roos for 8th position. But we do have a new 2nd place driver who's now chasing down the leader, Loic Meunier.
Yeah, Martin, crucially, has got a lap fresher tyres than both Milnek and Meunier here, so this is crunch time. Meunier and Milnek know when they pit, they're almost certainly going to come out behind Grankvist. But might Martin be tempted to try and do the one stop? If you look, what's the gap to Magorki? 13 seconds with, let's see, about 20 laps to go. It's going to be quite a number on those tyres. I think they've all got to pit again. I think you're absolutely right in what you said earlier, Kate. It's just a matter of timing it well. And Martin knows if he can pick both of them off, it could put him in prime position if he can come into the pits ahead of them, because that means that's, in theory at least, half the job done, unless they undercut him and come out ahead again.
You can see how defensive Meunier is going there. He's made his main move of defense, trying to block the toe of Carlos Martin coming out the corner. Martin, though, has so much overspeed, such a better run, and does go down the inside now. And Carlos Martin leads this Grand Prix for the first time, I would say, in the net order. Of course, we're yet to see what happens with Magorki and Tyan. And Martin did lead it earlier on due to pit stops, but Carlos Martin is showing his hand all of a sudden. He leads the race now from Meunier and Winnick. It looks like if you want to race in the top 4 here today, your name has to start with M. And Maciej Winnick has now got to try to stick with Loic Mounier and see if he can get back into that fight. I do think, though, that Martin is quite a lot faster than either of these two drivers, and they could do well to pit soon, as into the pits does come Loic Mounier now. And will he go onto... Surely he's got to go onto another set of hards, actually. I was going to say, is it late enough for mediums, but I don't think it will be. Let's see. He pulls into his box, goes up on his jacks. It'll be another set of mediums, but this should take him to the end. Now, where does he come out?
Well, I think he's going to be behind Grankvist. It's just how far behind is the question then. Grankvist should be coming the other side of this bridge anytime soon, and there he is. He is ahead then, so will Soriano go past as well? As I think that's Xavi Ross. You can just see on the outside there. No, it is Soriano then. Loic Mounier crucially comes out right ahead, so Spark have timed that absolutely spot on there, and Loic Mounier's got a beautiful stretch of clean air that he can pump in some quick lap times then on that hard tyre now. And now the question is, does Milnek respond to that immediately? Does Carlos Martin respond to that? As you see your two THRs closing up, and I think that's Stevens and Tyan closing in on one another. And I think, yeah, Stevens was about 6/10 quicker the previous lap, and he's certainly going to be quicker on this one around the outside with the DRS wide open. And again, Jarl Tyan sort of just doesn't really put up too much of a fight, and there's no reason to really at this phase because Stevens is certainly here to help him more than a lot of any of his other rivals in the other teams that they're fighting with then. So yeah, can Tom Stevens work his way into podium contention now? It's looking like he's going to be in a net second. Certainly he's going to be a net third now that Maciej Milnek is coming in.
Stevens, one of many drivers who can very, very rightfully claim that with a bit more luck he could have been fighting for the championship. He was unlucky in Japan, in Italy, several more occasions as well, and realistically he was definitely good enough to be a championship contender here today. Maciej Milnek coming out of the pits in 7th, 8th position. To be honest, if he'd been as good as he is today for the whole season, Maciej Milnek would have been world champion. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Now he's got to get himself back past Jose Soriano and start pulling those moves back, okay? Because Owen McGorgy is not far from the pits, and actually here comes Milnek again. But yeah, Owen McGorgy is not far from his last pit stop of the day, and if he ends up coming out behind Maciej Milnek, then he's going to have to fight his way through on the road in order to win this race, which I think is entirely likely. So, TOP Esports, you have to say, are in the best position here. They've got the top driver on both strategies, the 2-stop and the 3-stop as it stands. There's still a long way to go, and plenty more that can shake out. But whoa, a big spin in the background there, and was that
Shepherd, I think.
Was that Shepherd? He should have kept it out of the wall. It was a slow speed spin, and he's down at the back of the field, I'm afraid to say, but at least he's still running in this race, and he clears out the way of Owen McGorgy, who laps him.
Yeah, that could have been a lot worse, and Chris has certainly had some decent performances across the season. A couple of races where he's felt like the Chris Shepherd of old, that put in so many strong underdog performances, and yeah, it'd be nice to see. It would have been nice to see him end with a couple of points, but it's going to be a bit uphill given that he just doesn't really have a whole lot of pace here. And Red Archer, I think, are just keen to get to the end of the season. This was Maggio and Markinev making their final stops with 18 laps to go. So that certainly tallies up. Maggio then has certainly got to put in a monster final stint if he wants to get decent points out of this one.
Yeah, it's not quite been as good a performance as I'm used to seeing from Alessandro, but still, I think he will end up...
The only M not living up to that top 4 battle thing you were talking about earlier.
Jorge Marquez is P19 at the minute, but, you know, close enough. But anyway, here we go. Alessandro Maggio down the back straight, and up in front we got Stefan Ruhl, who I realised I forgot to read out when we were doing the grid order on the formation lap, so apologies about that. Stefan started 12th position, and I was busy talking about some of the other drivers around him. Ruhl, of course, Winnick's very experienced and very capable teammate. And into the pits now comes Carlos Martin, so this will once again give Owen McGorgy the lead of the race. He leads it by 2 seconds over Tom Stevens, and it's THR's second and third as we stand now. Both of them, all of them, should be going to the end of the race from here. And Carlos Martin comes out now, and he is behind Maciej Winnick, but not too far behind. He can see him up ahead, and their battle, I'm sure, will continue in just a few laps' time.
Yeah, Milnick setting personal best laps of the race and matching the times of Moynier, 1:24.2. Grankvist 1:24.6 that last lap. Yaltan 1:25.4, and then Stevens 1:24.7 with McGorgy 1:24.9. So yeah, it is all starting to play out here, isn't it? And it'll be fascinating to see now when these drivers all pit what the gap that Martin has is. So this is all down to Martin's tyre preservation, to that amazing 27 lap stint on the hard tyres there. And he's just got to do not quite the same 18 lap sort of stint, but it is going to be certainly interesting to see if Martin potentially can take his second ever win. And I think he's a driver that's had a lot of terrible luck this season as well, and would love to turn that around a little bit. And there's certainly been races that Martin was in contention to win. You think of Spa as well. It was a race that didn't quite fall into his lap, but despite that brilliant fight with Moyniers. McGorgy again takes the widest line I've ever seen into the first corner, but he's still just about got a wheel over the curb, so not going to get too many track limits warnings, let's hope. And you can see Stevens 1.6 seconds in arrears and closing by about 0.4 per lap at the moment. So McGorgy could be having to do a bit of rearguard action here, and Stevens will be very, very keen to attack as soon as possible.
The Nürburgring, I think, was Carlos Martin's best chance at a result. He was very good in qualifying there, but just dropped back a little in the race. And of course, he was a bit unlucky that Jake Dennehan was making a one-off outing. He had that
purple patch in the middle of the season where he was constantly on the front row for a couple of races. And he just seems to, he's always on those drivers that surprises you. You think of Mexico, before he got disconnected in there, he made an incredible move around the outside. I forget who it was on, but yeah, they really stood out. It's like in the stadium section where you don't often see that. Even Grankvist struggled to pass Moynier through that section doing a similar move, but Carlos absolutely banzaied it and surprises out of nowhere. So yeah, certainly someone you don't want to underestimate. There's Vac now. Speaking of people not to underestimate, Vac picks off Fournier, whose soft tyres are now starting to have seen their best days behind them, and Jakob is keen to nab that 12th place as well.
Indeed, Norbert Jakob right on his tail, trying to get him through. Talking of tyres, Sherman 128, sorry, says, does Jarl need to pit again, right? I don't think the strategy has paid off. He doesn't necessarily have to... I was about to say, he doesn't necessarily have to pit again, but you're right that the strategy has not paid off because, of course, he has got those older tyres. But you're right, he is in the pits now. He's dropping to 12th. I think Jarl here is going to have to absolutely fly in the latter stages to even challenge the top 5. You know, he'll be in the top 10, I'm sure, but this has not gone the way that Jarl Tyne would have hoped today. Especially considering his standing in the championship. So Grankvist is back up to 3rd. He's in a fight for that last podium spot with Mounier, Winnick, Martin, etc. as it stands. And here is Loic Mounier now trying to line him up and sticking behind him for the time being.
Yeah, so Tyne, by committing to the mediums, has put himself in this position where the final stint he is basically chasing. So it's kind of similar to what we've seen when he's been on the alternate strategy as well. So that's the problem. You have the fresher tyres, but you only have so many laps in which to make these moves then, so he's got to make it count while he's got the advantage. Martin, by the way, is lighting up the circuit. Fastest lap of the race, 1:23.5, and he's gone purple and personal best in the first 2 sectors so far as well. So he is pushing. You can see him right behind Milnek there, who is looking distinctly vulnerable as Martin is 0.8 per lap quicker than him right now. Meanwhile, Grankvist being closed in by Moynier, who was nearly 0.3 quicker the previous lap.
Don't get me wrong, when Jarl Tyne is on fresh tyres, he is absolutely unstoppable. He will pass car after car after car like he is climbing a ladder. But the trouble is, there's a bit of a break in that ladder. There's a big gap between Thomas Vogt and Mark Schluter, and then Schluter up to Martin, as now Martin himself lines up Maciej Winnick. And also, Grankvist and Meunier are side by side. Meunier goes through to the podium once again. Martin on the inside of Winnick goes through. There we go. So a couple of swaps now with Meunier up onto the podium and Martin in 5th position. But yeah, as I was saying, it's all well and good for Jarl Tyne, but once he reaches the likes of Vogt and Schluter, it's going to keep getting further and further apart, and the gaps will start to become a little bit unsurmountable. So I think he's got a long road ahead if he's going to get anything of note out of this one. I think Norbert Jakob just passed Geoffrey Fournier on that lap as well, so he's gone up to P9, and if he can score a top 10 on his Super League debut in the Stax racing car, that would be driver of the day material there. And now we're going to see a replay of that move with Norbert Jakob lining up Geoffrey Fournier, the much more experienced Geoffrey Fournier, and that will be a pretty straightforward move with the slipstream and the DRS, and he goes through in a straight line.
Yeah, McGorgy is also pit from the lead there, so that hands it to Tom Stevens, 4 seconds ahead of Loic Meunier, then Mark Schluter following McGorgy in. So where does Owen resurface in this race? Should be ahead of Jarl Tyne then quite comfortably as he comes out of the pit exit there. Yeah, there we go. Right in front then of Norbert Jakob and yeah, right behind Thomas Vack then into turn 4. So you think he's not going to hang about making this move on the road to Formula Car. McGorgy has got a race to win here, as all Grankvist and Martin are dueling away for P3 at the moment.
There is McGorgy on an important move on Tomasz Vogt, and he goes through into that P6. Carlos Martin around the outside of Jan Grankvist. He's still around the outside. Brave move does go through, and you mentioned his brave move at Mexico. He's just pulled another one to rival that. Carlos Martin is up into 3rd place as Grankvist tries to line him up again into the triple an overtaking opportunity. But yeah, the trouble with McGorgy is that from now on you can't guarantee that the drivers ahead of him are going to make another pit stop, and every move that he makes is going to get harder and harder, and in theory he's going to have to pass everybody ahead of him before the end of the race. There's a question mark over some of them. Looks like Stevens is on 14 lap old tyres, Grankvist is on 11 lap old tyres, but to be honest, I think any of the top 5 could go to the end of the race from here. Whether they will or not is remains to be seen, but I mean, surely some of them have got a chance at it at this point. But yeah, Owen McGorgy here has really got to push now. He's got a 19-second gap between himself and Winnick, and there is Carlos Martin now up the inside into 2nd place. He's flying.
He is indeed, and you see the lap before when he went, he passed Grankvist, he was absolutely using the slipstream from Loic Meunier. So those two kind of working tactically against Jan Grankvist there. Look at the little decisive gap that they have there as Loic gets the tiny embers of slipstream and DRS into turn 9 on this occasion as well then. So yeah, Martin and Meunier both in a strong position in these closing phases, but strategies yet to play out. Stevens, I think you're right, he surely is going to be thinking about making his final pit stop soon, maybe for a set of mediums. Here we go, in he comes, and that's going to give Martin the lead, and he's surely going to the end.
Could even be softs here. I know that softs aren't great, but they at least give you a lot of grip. They get up to speed quickly, and they'll help him out in a battle. So let's see what Tom Stevens does. Stevens with the wasp on his helmet there. I don't know exactly what the story is behind that, but anyway, it stops in his box, and it is soft tyres, and he will push to the end. It will be like a qualifying session for Tom Stevens. Although ironically, one of the reasons that he's had to fight through today is that he didn't qualify particularly well. But anyway, out of the pit lane he goes. I will say, of course, sometimes THR have been known to deliberately qualify around 16th position to put themselves on the alternate strategy, because the top 15 will have to start on the same tyre compound. But anyway, whether or not he tried to do that today, it's given him a difficult job to do, and he's doing it very well. He's come out ahead of his teammate Jarl Tyne. He'll be on fresher, faster tyres, and he should pull away now and try to attack the drivers in front of him.
Yeah, meanwhile, Jose Soriano going up the inside into the top 10. So he's had a great comeback in this race for Green Stripes, trying to ensure that they stay ahead of Stacks, especially with Scott Flack out of the race. Handcraft still going in P21 then, so that battle is ongoing. McGorgy is now the one lighting up the timing screens, going 0.2 faster than Martin. 123.095, and he's setting personal bests and purple sectors here as he tries to close that 11-second gap to Maciej Milnek here. So this is looking interesting now because McGorgy is forcing the hand of those ahead of him, and yeah, he's certainly got the massive undercut on Stevens and Tyan.
Yeah, his last lap was over a second faster than pretty much any of the top 4 there. He is the fastest driver on track. He's setting the fastest laps of the whole race, and I think that the top 4 will start to be in trouble by the end of this one, especially since we've got 11 laps left, and as you can see, that is pretty much the gap. And of course, the drivers at the front, their tyres will gradually be getting worse as well, gradually be getting older. That gap could change even further. Tom Stevens now lining up Norbert Jakob. That's his first move in this climb up the order, and that is successfully done. Next up, he's got Tomasz Vok on those old hard tyres. This one should be relatively straightforward, with no disrespect meant to Tomasz Vok, the sole Road to Formula car out here today. Stevens is going to go around the outside. We've seen this move work several times today, and look at the amount of grip that he has there as he flies through in the THR.
Yeah, pretty majestic there, and not much that Thomas Vac could be expected to do. Tyan has seen that happen in front of him and will hope to replicate it in short order here. But thinking to the top group of our top 4, Grangfist has got the oldest tyres. He's been out 14 laps. Milnek's been out 10 laps. Moynier 11 laps, and then Martin has got the youngest tyres of the quadrant, which is 8 lap old tyres. And then you've got McGorgy on 4 lap old tyres, and Stevens on these 2 lap old softs as well. So yeah, it is essentially turning into a 6-way fight for victory. I think Jarl Tyan has been very much played out of this one.
It's really dawning on me now that we're into the final 10 laps of the season. I'm sure we're all going to miss it quite a lot over the course of the winter, but let's just enjoy what we've got in front of us now. Jarl Tyan making a move on Norbert Jakob. Norbert also has the DRS from Walk Up Ahead, but it won't be anywhere near enough to fend off the charging THR of Jarl Tyan, who does indeed go through. McGorgy's progress was rather stifled on that last lap. His last lap was nowhere near as good compared to the top 4 as it should be. It's going to be close actually as to whether he can get involved in this or not, and actually he may start to regret his strategy soon if he starts to stumble a little more. The fastest driver on track right now is Tom Stevens, setting a 122.7 on that last lap. Purple sector means he is the fastest driver of anyone in the race. He's pulling away from his teammate at a rate of several seconds per lap, 1.5 seconds per lap as it stands. And now he's catching up to McGorgy. McGorgy's lap there was also very quick. It was a second faster than the Mounier, and nearly a second faster than Grangfist. Stevens is a second faster than him.
Yeah, indeed, but it's a matter of Stevens, I don't think, can get involved at all unless he clears McGorgy very quickly. Milnek, huge closing speed into turn 6, but he almost catches him at the wrong moment there, a little bit too early for him to really do anything about that. He couldn't really turn that into a sort of late braking maneuver up the inside. So he stays stuck behind, and again, look how much he just has all this push to pass that he's saved up. He finally puts it into effect. The DRS wide open, and Milnek through into P3. He knew he was starting to lose touch with the lead group with Grangfist on the oldest tyres then. So Milnek making the move at the right moment, and now he's got 7 more laps in which to chase down Moynier and Martin. But has he got anything more in the tank that he can use at this point? Moynier certainly isn't going to risk a collision with the championship within his grasp, just beyond the reach of his fingertips right now. But Moynier right now won't be thinking about the championship. He's thinking about that race win with Martin right in front of him.
Yeah, so 7 laps to go, 8 including the one that we're on now. It looks now as if it's Well, I don't know if McGorgy is gaining fast enough. I'm not sure that he is. I think he would need the leaders to really hit the cliff towards the end of this race. So what looked to be McGorgy's race may not be, because the 2-stop is working better than the 3-stop at this point in time. Often it does tend to be the case that drivers who can get away with one less stop than the others end up with a better race. They always end up saying to us at the end in the interview room that it was a really boring race, because all they had to do was just drive around relatively slowly at the front. But it works, and that's all that matters sometimes. And Meunier is closer to Martin than he was a lap ago. Winnick and Grankvist still fighting over 3rd place behind. McGorgy's still gaining, but not fast enough. Stevens is still gaining on McGorgy, but maybe not fast enough. That one's going to be a little bit closer. Xavi Roos now 12th position between Ruel and Schluter.
Yeah, this is getting a bit interesting, isn't it? Just in the minor points places behind Soriano. Then round the outside comes Schluter and Ross, who is on 12-lap-old hard tyres. See Schluter on tyres that are only half as old or half as young, to use a more accurate term, 6-lap-old tyres, breezing past on the, is that the mediums that I think Schluter's on? And then we got Ruel on 8-lap-old tyres. So yeah, Mark Schluter gaining ground in this late phase of the race, and good to see him ending the season on a more positive note. Certainly these could be enough points to get Edge maybe just ahead of Epic Racing into the top 10, or the Epic's still got both their cars running just to win the points in 14th and 15th right now.
Yeah, it's worth noting that there's only one car out there on track right now with a completely fresh engine, so a lot of these drivers are just using up what they've had over the course of the season. That's one of the Edge cars. I can't remember which way around their numbers go, but yeah, I think Mark Schluter is the only driver to have...
Well, Polenz is number 3 and he's out, so certainly the freshest engine of all, because it's not done a whole lot of the race. He was the first retirement, unfortunately.
I was going to say, actually, sorry, I thought Schluter was number 3, but you're absolutely right. Nobody out on track now has an unused engine, or at least unused at the start of the race. But Schluter still had enough engine power there to get past Stefan Ruel to go through into 11th position. And let's see if he can get a top 10 before the end of this one. I think his pace is decent.
Yeah, he's about 2/10 per lap quicker than Soriano at the moment, but he's 2.8 seconds behind. So now he's in clear air, and he is setting personal bests. He was about 6/10 quicker in the middle sector there than Jose Soriano. Maybe DRS helped a little bit there. Meanwhile, Jakob is all over the back of Thomas Vack, who's sort of done the Carlos Martin strategy to get himself into play here. So Jakob with actually on a very similar strategy has been toe-to-toe with Vac throughout this race then. So yeah, this battle could go either way, and Jakob certainly impressing. I think you're absolutely right, Caitlin. He has got to be one of the contenders, certainly, for driver of the day with his performance here, along with the likes of Soriano, and you can't look past Carlos Martin, because he's probably done the most impressive tyre saving of anybody, and it's made the difference at the moment. I think Meunier maybe will be content to let Carlos have this win if he can still get the championship, and Milnek is drifting into the rearview mirror, 1.7 seconds behind. So right now, Martin and Meunier, it is looking very, very rosy for both of them. And McGorgy, as you say, catching Grankvist, but not quite quickly enough. He might have a go on the final lap, I suspect, but Stevens is faster than both of them.
Yeah, I think if they were to finish like this, I would vote Norbert Jakob as the driver of the day, especially if he can get past Tomasz Vog here in the final 5 laps of the race, which he's looking increasingly likely to do. McGorgy here, I don't think it's worked out quite as well as he would have liked, and you can see Stevens in his mirrors as well. Stevens' pace relative to McGorgy has started to get a little bit more reasonable. They set laps, actually McGorgy was 0.2 per second quicker than Stevens on that last lap.
Going
so
off.
It's looking, yeah, I was going to say, it's looking like Stevens isn't so much of a threat anymore. I think McGorgy will catch the likes of Grankvist and Winnick by the end of the race, but I'm not sure. I don't think he will get past them quick enough to really challenge for the win anymore. I think the best that he can hope for is a podium. And I think that the battle for the victory is very much between Carlos Martin and Loic Meunier as it stands. Of course, Winnick's not too far back, but Martin and Meunier seem to be in a class of their own now. And I'm a little bit surprised with how this race has gone, to be honest, because you don't normally see 3-stop strategies in Super League in general. It's too hard to... It's not too hard to overtake another driver, but it's too hard to overtake them and get away. And as a result, drivers don't tend to risk going through so much traffic. The exception, of course, is THR, who tend to start at the back of the grid and end up winning anyway. But I guess today is an exception to that rule. But even so, I was expecting Owen McGorky to go for something a little bit more conservative. I was expecting Loic Mounier, to be honest, to go a little bit easier with this one. I know I said earlier that he would still fight for the win, and I knew that he would, but I didn't expect him to really be fighting for the win as late in the race as this, and running in second position as well, right behind Carlos Martin, still looking as if he has a chance to take a swipe at it. We've got 4 laps, well 3.5 laps, including the bit that we're on at the minute. And Winnick seems to be dropping even further back, actually, so I do think it's just between these two for the win now, Carlos Martin and Loic Mounier.
Yeah, it's definitely looking that way. The way things are going, with the season starting to run out of time here, and certainly it's been... he may have missed the opening round, and it's easy to forget that, but that's the only time, I think, the whole season that Loic has not scored. So every race he's shown up today, he has scored points in. The only one that he sort of lucked into was Canada, where he finished outside the points and then somebody ahead got a penalty. Other than that, he's always been solidly in the top 9, even in his sort of nadir day in Indianapolis, where he messed up the first corner and clattered into Moritz Kropp. He still got home in P9, so it's the consistency that's really put him in this position. And yeah, certainly Yaltan may have had... It looks like Yaltan's going to be a joint highest winner in terms of number of wins this season. I think it's going to be, yeah, Stevens 3 wins, Tyne 3 wins, Mounier 2 wins, and potentially Carlos Martin 1 win as well, if he can hold on to this one. And how much would that mean to him as well? Given, remember, Canada last season feels an awfully long time ago as well, and we know how emotional that one was. I wonder what this one's going to feel like for him, because he's absolutely driven out of his skin. It may not be the spectacular overtakes, which we have seen Carlos do as well on occasion, but certainly being able to make the tyres last 27 laps has put him in this position. And Mounier, he's sort of in older tyre land at this moment, but he has done a good job managing the drop off and using the DRS from the back of Martin as well to stay in this position then. So 2 more laps to go at the end of this one, and you've got to say Carlos would absolutely richly deserve the race win, and so too would Mounier richly deserve this championship.
Yeah, exactly right. I know there's been controversy involved, but you can't deny that Loic Mounier has been sensational this year. And ironically, it was Carlos Martin who first said to me that Loic Mounier was one to watch. I remember that happening back at the Turkish Grand Prix, when up until that point, I'd never even considered Loic Mounier a real contender. He missed the first race of the season entirely. And when he turned up in Turkey, Carlos said, "Watch Loic, he's going to be fast." I thought that meant that Loic was going to be a contender for the top 10. I did not expect him to go out and finish second and fight for the win that day. But he did, and then of course he got his first Grand Prix victory just 1 race after that. And now of course these 2 drivers who seem to know each other quite well are going for the win and fighting for it, heading towards the last lap of the race. What an amazing finish it would be if Loic Mounier could snag his 3rd victory of the year to tie the 2 THR drivers and go out with the biggest possible bang. Carlos Martin, of course, as you said, desperately wants this win as well. You remember how emotional he got at the end of Canada last time out. Carlos told us before the start of this year that he stood no chance. He said that THR were going to win 11 out of 16 races. He said that his teammate was going to absolutely boss him at every single race. Carlos is such a humble guy who does not understand quite how talented he actually is. He knows that he's good, he doesn't know that he is one of the best drivers out there. And he's about to demonstrate that in one lap's time by trying to hold off Loic Meunier, the championship leader, who is challenging hard. So now the question, will Meunier try anything on this last lap, or will he realise that he's got the championship in the bag if he brings it home second? I say he's got to go for it here, because even if the worst came to worst, and God forbid that it doesn't, Jarl Tyne is not far enough up the order to win the championship. Loic would still be the world champion no matter what happens here, so he's got to go for it. We're coming to the end of the straight into the double left-hander. This is one of the last chances for Meunier, and he's too far back. He can maybe try to string something together in the final sector, but realistically Carlos has just got to bring it home now. He can look in his mirrors, he can watch Loic Meunier, and they can both have a big grin on their face as they cross the line, because Carlos is going to win and Loic is going to be champion. Remember the 6th of November. I'm sure that Loic Meunier will. He twitches, he weaves, and he wins the World Championship after a thrilling season of GPVWC Super League. Carlos Martin has won the Grand Prix, and congratulations to him, and they're both going to celebrate a lot. Now that's technically illegal there for Loic Meunier, spinning it out before getting to the second corner, but I really don't think anyone's going to take that away from him, and nor should they. So Martin has won, Meunier is second and is the champion, Maciej Winnick is third, yet another good performance from him, Grankvist is fourth, the reigning champion, who will have to hand over his crown, and Owen McGorky finishes fifth from pole position. Then it's Tom Stevens and Jarl Tyne. Commiserations to Jarl Tyne, who said he wasn't in a good headspace today and did not have a particularly good race by his standards, but I have to say that he has been spectacular all year long as well, and has driven some of the best races that I've ever seen in GPWC Super League. I think whoever won the championship today would have richly deserved it, and nobody can take it away from Loic Meunier now. Norbert Jakob does an excellent job to finish P8 on debut. That's a top 10
back on the last lap.
Stacks. Absolutely right, he did. And I'm going to have to work out, actually, whether that puts Stacks ahead of Green Stripes, because Soriano finished 11th.
I don't think it does.
No, I don't think it quite does, but it was a valiant effort, and I'm going to say that Norbert was my driver of the day there. Tomasz Vok, P9, Mark Schluter, P10, then Jose Soriano, Stefan Roll, Xavi Rose, Jeffrey Fournier, and Jukka-Pekka Laulu, the final points finishers. Just missing out were Krupa, Panzer, Markineth. We're going to see a replay now of Norbert Jakob on the last lap. He's in 8th position here.
So he's already through at this point. Oh!
Schluter and Wok. Wok and Schluter go around the outside of him, but just go a little bit too wide. Get on that less grippy patch that I mentioned earlier. A big kick of oversteer from Schluter that he was lucky to get away with. And somehow, they end up still finishing in the same order with Jakob holding them off. Great drive.
Yeah, that was crafty from Norbert. He suckered them into that one by going the long way around. But here's how the move got done in the first place. So he does it into the first chicane here. Back, moves to defend. And Jakob sort of feints and goes back to the outside. Breaks around. Oh, clean. Just cuts him off before they get to the apex there. So good, well executed, well planned. And well-deserved 8th place. And that's another joint best finish for Stacks. That's 2 8th places for Stacks. I don't think we would be saying that at the end of this season. And this is again that defensive move into turn 9 there. Luckily 3 into 1 does not quite go, so Norbert was able to just about hold on.
Fantastic stuff there, fantastic stuff, and a lot of people I see congratulating him in the YouTube chat as well. It is a richly deserved championship. He wasn't the highest scoring winner this season. That would have been the THR drivers with 3 wins each, but it doesn't matter because his consistency has put him P1. Talking of P1, Carlos Martin takes his first and only victory of the season, making it 8 different winners from 16 races. That's a 50-50 chance of seeing a completely different race winner if you watch the Super League race this year. Loic Meunier was P2, then it's Maciej Winnick, Jan Grankvist, Owen McGorky, Tom Stevens, Jarl Tyne, Norbert Jakob, Tomasz Vok, and Mark Schluter. Once again, commiserations to Jarl Tyne, but he was one of the best drivers out there this year. Jose Soriano was P11, followed by Stefan Roth, the 2021 champion. Then it's Xavi Rose, Jeffrey Fournier, and Jukka-Pekka Lalu who stole the last point. Outside of the points but still finishing were David Krupa on his return, Robin Panzer, Jorge Martinez, Dylan Fischer, Alessandro Maggio, who does finish, although doesn't really have anything to show for it, I'm afraid to say. And then Stein Hangraf, Heigo Poom, and Chris Shepard. And there were a couple of DNFs, okay, not as many as in Brazil last time out, thank goodness, but still a few, with Scott Flack, Ruben van den Hudding, Michael Falkenhayn, Matthias Maiker, Moritz Kropp, and Pascal Pullens all DNFing. And then, of course, the second Road to Formula car, usually inhabited by Alex Lahoe, failed to start the race in the first place. And now the adrenaline begins to wear off, because unfortunately that is the end of the Super League season. So we're going to wait a few minutes until drivers come into the interview room, see if we can speak to them about the race and the season that they've just endured. But while we're waiting, and we look at a completely blank calendar. Now that is completely depressing. But anyway, that does bring me on to a good point, actually.
You're very glass half empty today, aren't you, Caitlin?
Exactly. Well, okay, this isn't necessarily the end of Super League or the end of GPWC for the year. We do have a young drivers test coming up. That will be on the 13th, I think, next Thursday, unless I'm mistaken. And I'm hoping to be in that. I've been offered a drive by Dethan Rootring, and thank you very much, Dethan, for that. I don't yet know whether I will be off work that evening or not, so whether or not you will see me in that one remains to be seen, but you will see plenty more drivers from the junior categories and from outside of GPWC giving it a good shot and having some fun. And you will also see, hopefully, the Race of Champions later this year. That is usually broadcast, and I assume it will be this year. And if it is, I hope I'm given the commentary gig, because that is a heck of a lot of fun. But anyway, we can now speak to our brand new Super League champion for 2025, Loic Mounier. Loic, congratulations.
Okay, Michael Jackson.
Indeed. Well, congratulations. That is very well deserved. Look, you said to me earlier that you feel, what was the quote? Unbothered, moisturized, happy, in my lane, focused, flourishing. How do you feel after the race?
Definitely still moisturized. Sweaty as hell. Hungry. Sorry. And relieved. Actually, I woke up this morning, I was shaking from the race.
Wow.
It was it's only, how do you say that? You can only see what happens when it happens, but then from the whole day you're daydreaming about it. And just do the best I can on the day. I worked out well, brilliant qualifying, and the race went fairly smooth as well.
Yeah, this was a race about keeping it clean, and you absolutely did that. You stuck with Carlos pretty much the whole way through, and finished right with him at the end there. Talk us through the race from your point of view and kind of the twists and turns as it went along.
Well, the race actually was a DRS simulator. I decided to stick out with the two-stop strategy because three-stop is traffic, and it's always more risks in situations like this. We saw it in other tracks as well, Singapore, where less stop was also definitely a good choice because there's just so much traffic to clean. This race seemed the three-stop was good as well, but it couldn't. I just preferred my old DRS simulator. It's just quicker for my way. And yeah, not much trouble. I saved a ton of fuel. If anyone wants some spare in their car to go home, I got 3 or 4 liters before my engine blew up. And that was really good. My only concern was the brakes, actually, because it's really easy to overheat them. So I've had to spend some braking zones down the insides of nobody, as if I was Norris. But that was just to keep the brakes cool. Nothing else on my end.
Fair enough. Let's talk about the season as a whole then, since that's come to an end. This one was very much about consistency with you, but also I have to admit, I did not know coming into this year that you were so quick. I had no idea that you had so much
She didn't
inside
believe
of you.
me.
Where has this come from? And yeah, like were you expecting this coming into this year, to fight for the championship? How have you done it?
Lots of factors. First one gets into an environment that's really clicking with you. It's been through the winter off season that I got along with Carlos fairly well. We could always discuss about the car and try things out. I really owe him a lot on that season for the whole preparation. How he worked was different than how I work, so we could learn from both of us. And really, that preparation was really different because instead of doing 100 laps for when I was reserve of FS1 or primary in FS1 2 years ago, it's really different because you can just get in the seats and you click, you do one sector on the out lap of your first day, your first warm-up lap, okay, you're on pace. Whereas with 100 laps, maybe you need a little more time if you don't get your marks properly. There's a few tracks I could do with one eye, with both eyes closed, so not really, but like there's tracks that just get in under your skin. Second big help was the equipment. I have switched from a T500 and T3PA pedals that had a playing throttle, very playful throttle. If you remember Brazil last year, I've spun 3 times and dropped starts in lower categories for Superlights and Formula Sprints. That was my throttle, deciding to go 100% or none. Get that fixed. Also switch to a load cell, switch the T500 to a R12, a direct drive. And that was really helpful for the precision, the consistency. It took me definitely a month to get used to it, properly get back on pace with everything. I wasn't quicker day one, but it was really a great investment. So yeah, most people probably did this years ago for those equipment upgrades, but I didn't. Well, I don't have hundreds and thousands in my bank account, so I do what I can. It was a Christmas gift. And,
Understandable, yeah. So before I hand over to our regular interviewer at Hunter, I just want to say congratulations once again, and I want to give you this opportunity to thank whoever you want to thank and say whatever you want to say to whoever's listening to this.
Well, thank you, my dad, for getting me into this passion of racing. Thank you for being there, even if you probably don't understand what we say because English level nowadays is terrible in France. But je t'aime, papa. Gros bisous. And yeah, my father, my team, Spark, Vincent, Jorge, they've always been there for me to support throughout the race or even in prep. He was both of them were very interesting to practice with. The whole group in general, obviously, with Carlos, Owen, that stepped up very late this year, but he was always there playing around in practice with me. That was really cool. And all the other people in our group that work together. That's if it's a drivers' championship, it's definitely wasn't won with one man. The way we prepped the races, I owe a lot to all of these guys. So thank you very much for them.
Thank you very much.
Obviously, last thanks, but that's in general to the other competitors at THR and the Super Venturi for being as competitive as they are, because we wouldn't be able to push each other so hard on track and off track.
That's classy. Thank you very much, Loic. I'm going to hand over to our regular interviewer, Ed. So if you have anything to add for Loic, then feel free, Ed.
Thank you very much, Caitlin. Well, like this thought just popped into the back of my head, and I thought I'd look it up to check. But do you know how many French Super League champions there've been over the 25-year history of Super League? Like
Jeffrey Fournier.
Jeffrey Fournier won a race, but he didn't win the championship. You were the very first, my friend. That's true. That's true. I mean, not many people have won both Super League and FSR World Championship. Maybe you can join that category soon as well. Like, if you need something to do in 26,
we will see.
Climbed one mountain, but yeah. Anyway, sorry, I need to put my GPV hat back on. Anyway, so yes, first French champion. I think you're only the second ever French champion in Grand Prix Virtual, period. No prizes for guessing who the other one is. Hint, he wasn't here today. But anyway, I'm sure he'll be sending a congratulating message towards you soon. It does seem like you, how much does it mean to you was the question. I should say the question before I distract myself. How much does it mean to you to be the first French champion, Loic? Because obviously that there is a small but very, very loyal French-speaking contingent in GPV, and they've been longing to have somebody at the top for years. How much does it mean that you're the one to do it?
It means a lot, not specifically to be the first Frenchman. That this kind of stat is like cool, but I don't put a lot of emotion behind it. It's to be the champion on my first year. It's to be the champion with all that happened, who I had behind me, the people that support me. And like I said, it's the people you also fight against, because the better they are, the better it is to win against them all. So yeah, that's not specifically to be the first Frenchman, but definitely means a lot to be the champion.
Yeah, that's lovely to hear. So going back to the race itself, you said when you woke up this morning, there were butterflies in the stomach. You were very, very nervous and excited. At the start of the race, obviously, Yartan was fighting over Carlos Martin behind you. And did you feel at that moment, that Carlos was really helping you out? And then it's interesting, we fast forward to the end of the race, all of a sudden Carlos is ahead of you. And was there a sense that you knew the championship, you were doing more than enough to seal it, that there was no incentive to make a move on Carlos? You got a little bit closer towards the very, very end. But did you feel like you and Carlos were just going in formation at the end, or was there a small part of the back of your head that said, "Oh, I might just steal this off him"?
You know, I thought about having a go, but he had still very good tires. I couldn't get close enough in sector 3 to work up a move all the way to the straights, and he managed his push to pass brilliantly. I was kind of low at the end, so I could only really sight specific lap to go for it, and that was the lap where he deployed everything, so it couldn't have happened. But I'm really happy that he wins the race. He deserves it. He fought brilliantly throughout the first laps, throughout his whole race to get up to us. So yeah, the priority throughout the race was to build a gap with the guys behind. Might as well, okay, I'm in the situation to win the championship, but right now I just want my race, and my situation in the race is this. And detaching the third place with Masic and Jan was probably the last and the best thing that could happen in my race, and then I could solely focus on Carlos. I couldn't win, but I'm glad he does.
Absolutely, and I concur with you completely. Great to see the two of you at the top, because I think two of you are the most friendly and approachable drivers in GPV, period, and that's a lot of competition on that factor as well. So yeah, a great, couldn't have seen a very, very jolly podium, actually. I think I must have said all people with their last names ending in M, funnily enough. Martin Moynier Milnek, but which I think is the first time that's happened this season. So I guess final question to end on. I don't know. I'm just thinking like that you and I, we've known each other a number of years now, since about 2020, when I first started commentating on you, I guess, in sort of relatively small championships that probably nobody here watching will have heard of. But
The touring cars.
yeah, exactly. Well, the touring car team, yeah. But I was also thinking like a ERC period,
Yeah.
which no longer exists. But yeah, you've come an awful long way, not just as a driver, but as a sporting figure. There are a lot of people, I think, in the community that do look up to you, and not just me, but rightly so. How do you reflect on your journey in sim racing? You talked about how your dad got you into it and those sort of relatively humble beginnings. And I know you talked a lot about that you'd put some had some Christmas presents and got your new wheel and the equipment and stuff. But I think it's not just the equipment; it's what you do with it. And I think if you look at your statistics this season, about 8 podiums this season. I think that was your sixth second place of the season. And 2 of those second places, you crossed the line first, technically, but we won't go into that because with you winning the championship, it's kind of a moot point, and we can let it go, I guess, but even though it still stings. But as a Lloyd Moynier fan. But nonetheless, this is going to be this has got to be a big achievement, and it's got to really make the last few years. They were all building up to this, I guess, even though, according to Caitlin, it's come out of nowhere. But we all know you are capable of this deep down all along.
That's because Caitlin is a Alessandro Maggio fan. Next year.
Well, she's not the only one. I think there's add another one to that score.
Damn, you got me there. Anyway, carry on.
No, we're done, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't really have anything else to say, like, but it was beautiful to watch your performances this season. I think it's going to live those performances in Japan, particularly you taking that first win, will live long in the memory. And so many great fights. It'd be difficult to list them all, but you've been absolutely superb. Yeah, considering last season it was a part campaign, you never really found somewhere to settle. I think you finally found a home in Super League, and congratulations, you are the 2025 champion. Viva Loic Moynier.
Thank you. Let's get some time for other people. There's a line in interviews. Thank you, guys. Good evening.
Yeah, get out of here. We're done with you now.
Should I warn
Yeah.
who's next?
Who do you want us to talk to next? I imagine it's Carlos.
Oh, let's have Carlos.
Sure. Well, Loic is now part of the interviewing team. I guess that's championship privileges. All right. So
good night, guys.
Good night, and enjoy the champagne. All right, let's bring in Mr. Carlos Martin, who joins us now, having won the final race of the season after a spectacular tyre-saving race. Carlos, in a way, it's slightly unfortunate that your best moment of the season comes right when all the attention is justifiably on the man behind you who's just won the championship, but nonetheless, one absolutely brilliant performance. And you made a lot of... it wasn't just a case of saving tyres and everyone pitting in front of you. You made some very, very gutsy overtakes at various points in the race, especially that early fight against Jarl Tyne. And then that you just picked them off one by one. At the end, it was only you and Loic left standing. So definitely one of your strongest performances I've seen in Super League. And I know you were very emotional after Canada last year. It's been a long wait for win number 2. How do you feel, Carlos?
I feel really good. I think even though it didn't show many times this season, I really had a lot of opportunities and times that my pace was really on par to Loic or my teammates, and that I was able to compete for X, Y, and Z. It didn't show some of the times my mistakes, some of the time other ones having racing incidents with me, and other ones with some disconnections. So yeah, it just came to tonight. I don't think it really matters when it came, to be honest. I really thought the race was over when I was fighting with Jarl. I knew how important this was for Jarl, and I tried to give him as much room as I could at all times. Sometimes clipping the sausages in the chicane in sector 2 just to make sure he has all the gap, because I wanted to fight it because I really believed in my pace, but I didn't want to compromise his race or anything. At the end, there was a pair of contacts, and he had some damage, me as well, and we lost some pace because of that. His rear end was a bit more twitchy, and I could visually see it. That's why he went wide. before the hotel section, and he rejoined and then tapped me as well, and then my steering was slightly bent. But when I went to, I saw my tires being very in very well state. I was planning to pit between lap 9 and 10 and do a 3-stop. But then they were in such a good state that I decided to go to lap 13, and then I knew it was opening for maybe a medium in the last stint, and then we saw the turtle of Owen McGoggy, like with no pace with the hearts. Honestly, it's incredible. He claims this is his track, and he has been beaten by same machinery teammate. Shame on him. Sorry. And then the fact that he was so slow and I had DRS, that incentivized me to even, like, I couldn't overtake, and if I decided to, or if I was capable to overtake, I would have overtake all of them and go for hearts. But I knew that I need them to be spread apart and with an insane tire advantage, so I went with the mediums, and I was super surprised the pace I was able to pull still with such old hard tires, because as I said, I was saving so much behind them with the DRS. That is something that has to change for next year, because you get 6/10 for free. And then that and the fact that Loic didn't want to risk at the end just made it. I just defended a bit the inside, because experiences from the past from Shimon not covering the inside, in Silverstone. So just to make sure he couldn't go for it, I did, and super duper happy.
Yeah, and you'll be not at all surprised to know that this result means TOP just steals second in the Teams Championship away from Super Venturi. I'm sure Jan will be slightly annoyed, but I think as far as Jan's concerned, if it's not World Championship, it doesn't really matter too much. But from your point of view, that was the best possible result really in the final phase of the season. And like you said, you've had your moments this season. I think to the middle of the year, that purple patch where you were constantly on the front row, and Nürburgring, that first pole in the wet at Spa, and obviously the result in the end with all the top four being penalised sort of went against you. And then that podium in Hungary, that was a really strong sort of middle phase of the season. And after a bit of bad luck in both Mexico and Singapore, it's great to see you. Monza, yeah.
But I was taken out by Robin and Tomasz.
well, Robin had a bit of a streak of destruction derby, but we won't go into
against
that.
Against TOP.
Yes, exactly. But I was just thinking that my head was going back to the final laps in Brazil, where you were behind Loic, and you said afterwards that you didn't want to get involved given all the drama in the championship, and you didn't want to be seen as making a risky move on him in case it went wrong or something like that. And this felt like the invert. It was almost like karmically you were being rewarded for that in this scenario where Loic had no incentive. He'd run out of push to pass, he admitted it himself, but he also had no real incentive to do a crazy move on you to try and steal the win.
When did I say that I didn't make a move for not being risky? Like, I really didn't have any P2P in Brazil left, and they started Robin and Loic P2Ping in front of me and doing exactly the same lap times I was doing. So I really didn't. I don't know where this is coming, but okay.
Maybe I'm misremembering. There was a lot of interviews at the end of Brazil. And,
I did an interview in Brazil.
Did you? I might be getting mixed up with someone else. Anyway, it doesn't matter. That was the image I had in my head. Maybe it doesn't match reality, but
no problem.
My point is today was good.
yeah, today was very good. Yeah. I've been commentating as well most of the season, and I mix up a lot of things, so it's full normal, completely normal.
Too many drivers, man.
Oh yeah. Many.
Anyway, I love your comments about Owen as well, because it feels like here in Super Lights as well, a similar thing happened. He shows up on pole, does the wrong strategy, and ends up off the podium. So 2024 Formula Sim Racing champion, everybody.
What a clown.
There we go. We love you, Owen. Don't worry. Don't listen to this guy. Anyway, Carlos, so let's end final thoughts on not just TOP, but a very good year for Netrex, and we got the next generation coming through because Jose Soriano has finished in the points these final 3 races after taking the Super Lights title. So how do you feel about 2026, surely? Because the Spaniards are on the rise, and you've ended it in the best possible fashion.
I need to find a team for next year. I don't have a team. That's how funny it is.
Okay.
I cannot.
You fancy an FS2 seat? Because I might have one.
No, hell no, no. I am SL1 material. I proved that today. Yeah, I need to. Something in the lines happened in the way, and I don't have a seat for next year, and we are trying to figure out a formula to find me something I can drive. So yeah. Yeah, that's all I can say for now because I don't
not
have
to
more
put too
info.
fine a point on it, but yeah, I know somewhere you can drive a championship run by a very nice guy. No, okay, that's enough of that. Right. So,
with a green car?
No. The guy runs the championship, not the 4th best team in the championship. Although I'm still proud of that. Anyway, let's not make this about me. It should be about you, Carlos. So congratulations. Your 2nd career Super League victory. It's been a breakout season, 1st pole, 2nd ever win, and I believe you finished in the top 7 this season. So I'm sure the best is yet to come, Carlos. And well done. Gracias. Thanks for talking to us.
See you at GPVWC. Yeah!
Okay, now let's get our 3rd and final podium finisher in. Mr. Oh, I nearly dragged Loic in again. Didn't have more to say, so that would have been a mistake. Maciej Milnek. So Maciej joins us now, ending the season with another podium. He does also end the podium, but that is still a fantastic result to end the season with 2 podiums in a row and 2 wins, of course. So Maciej, you started this race from 2nd on the grid on the front row, just pipped by Owen McGorgy, and as it went on, it turned into a tyre preservation race, and it felt like Martin and Mounier just had the edge on you in the end, but you were still able to beat Jan Krankvis for that final spot on the podium. So it was tough to save tyres. You managed it, and in the end, another strong result for HRT. So you must be feeling pretty positive about that. You end the season 6th in the points. Oh no, actually 5th, because I think you beat Simon, who wasn't here today. So top 5 for Maciej Milnek.
Yeah, it was my small target before the race to try and beat Shimon.
He did help you out a little bit.
Yes, he helped a bit. But speaking about the race, first thing was totally about tire preservation. And when I saw that Owen's pace is dropping, I decided to pass him because I set enough tires to go a bit longer on softs on first stint. Then second one, pretty much the same story. I wasn't happy that Owen's pace dropped so much because that allowed some people behind to catch back to Loic and save behind him their tires. I again went for the move, but this time I didn't save enough tires to think about mediums at the end because it came through my mind to try and do what Carlos did in the end. However, I wouldn't have tire life to go for so long on second stint, so I decided to go for hards on the final one. I think I was a bit unlucky how it played out, because I think if I managed to catch up to Jan and Loic before Carlos catched up to me, then it might have been a different story tonight, but it happened. It is what it is. So when Carlos and Loic were ahead of Jan, I knew that I have to be either very close to Jan to have a chance to pass him, even if he has DRS or was waiting for his error, and the latter happened, and it was then easy pass. But after that, I think Carlos was just a bit too quick for me to catch back up to him, and I had to settle for first.
Indeed, that was certainly the way your season ended then. So looking at the season as a whole, obviously you came back after a couple of seasons away taking 2 wins. Obviously, there was a load of bad luck in the sort of where you had 3 races in a row where you were disconnected quite cruelly in one instance in Singapore from the lead. But of course, you more than made up for it with those 2 wins, second in Canada and now third here today. Do you think you achieved what you set out to do this season, or are you thinking that you're going to put right the things that went wrong this season in 2026?
If you asked me before the season started or after the first 2 races, I would say that I overachieved what I was meant to achieve this season. But after having a quite nice run in the middle part of the season, I'd say that I wish I was in a battle at least for top 3, because this strike of disconnects didn't really help. Morale was a bit low after those, especially after Singapore. So depends from which position you look. If from beginning of the season I say I overachieved, if from middle part of the season I say I had a chance to achieve more than top 5.
Certainly. But, of course, you do get to stand on the podium with the new world champion at the end of the season. Do you have any words for Loic? Because we haven't mentioned him so far. It feels appropriate that we do.
Loic did a very good job this season. His consistency was amazing. I think maybe apart from USA and Canada, he pretty much was up there in each race. So totally deserved champion. And Jarl gave him a good battle in the end, but unfortunately for him, it wasn't meant to be. So yeah, I think Loic is totally deserved champion. Jarl would also be a totally deserved champion. So only thing I can say is congratulations. And if I stick with the league for next year, I'll try my best to beat him.
Very diplomatic answer, Maciej. And I certainly put you a bit on the rack there, so to speak. But yeah, you've been brilliant to watch this season. I think that win in Indianapolis was a joy to commentate on, and Brazil too, despite my internet problems, which have at least fixed themselves for tonight, mysteriously. So that is something to be thankful for. But anyway, it's always great to talk to you, Maciej. And best of luck for next season, and enjoy the off season. And hopefully we see you in, say, the Race of Champions or one of our out of season events.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. And thank you for having me.
No worries. So then, that is the podium sorted. Have we just got time to talk to the team principal of Spark? Vincent Gatto was, of course, driving for them at the start of the season. Let's see if I think only right that Spark, after today's events, should get the final word. So we're now joined by Spark Racing team principal, Vincent Gatto. Vincent, old buddy, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, yeah.
Oh, well, obviously, it ended exactly like you hoped to this season with Loic taking the Drivers' Championship. I believe in the teams, Spark had done just enough to hold off Holland Racing Team for 4th, because Loic finished ahead of Maciej Milnek then, so that definitely secures it. But
where did Stefan finish?
Rolt was P12, so only got about 3 or 4
Okay, I think then
points,
it's enough, yeah.
Yeah, there we go. I think it's 21 points versus 25. Although, if you'd been driving, I'm sure you would have gone even more, but never mind. I'm doing Mark F a big disservice there. He did a good job.
Yeah, I'm happy for him as well. Well, today it didn't work that well. P18 started in P15. He had a really good quali, and then had to start on the softs. He was planning to not start on the softs. Team standings, I don't care already about them. P4 or P5. Doesn't really make a big difference. Today we looked at the Drivers' Championship. And there everything went well.
Absolutely. So, I suppose you say you don't care about the team's title, but I'm sure that can be a target for the future, can't it? Because Spark seem to have done pretty well in every other category in GPV, not least because of your efforts at the wheel, but also as a team boss then. So you must take a at least some sense of pride in Loic's achievement today, and certainly he credited you and the rest of the team for the effort that you put in. You must have your own view as well on how hard it has been to win this Drivers' Championship as a team owner.
Yeah, I'm just happy. I don't need or want a long interview. I don't
Fair enough.
really know what to say as well. I'm just happy and relieved that it's over and it. Yeah, went well. P2. I'm also really happy for Carlos. He was. He's always doing so much work in the background with his setup, with his server, with everything, and he's grinding so much and was looking at the win for a while already. Often bad luck or someone else was just a bit quicker or something like that. But today he won as well, and I'm really happy for him as well. And yeah, one more thing I really want to say is, especially since 2023, I know how important a good group, a good team around you is. I want to thank everyone who is in our group, not just Carlos, who is doing a huge part, also all the others who drive in the other teams, work with Loic and Jorge on setups, on race sims, etc. And the atmosphere inside the group, that's just really important and motivates you. Without that, you don't have a chance. That's one of the most important things. If you do it alone, you don't really achieve something. You need people around you who motivate you to turn up for race sims, to improve the setup, etc. And we just have an amazing group, and I'm really thankful for that.
I could not agree more. Well, thanks for talking to us, Vincent. Loic's got a title. I'm sure next year it'll be your turn in Super League to win, given the team spirit is going to no doubt soar at Spark. But, well, I guess we'll see. Never rule it out. Vincent, you've surprised us in the past, that's for sure. And, yeah, congratulations. I've dreamed of what it's like to win as a team owner. Maybe one day I can experience even a fraction of what you're experiencing.
Hey,
he says without any hint of envy whatsoever. But anyway, thanks for coming to talk to us.
We went up from FS2 as well. The future, let's see.
It's very true. It's early days.
Okay.
Anyway, I've got to wind this up because my brother's trying to sleep in the other room. But anyway.
All right. Thank you.
Congratulations. And yeah, enjoy the off-season and good night, Vincent.
I will. Bye-bye.
So, well, that wraps up the interviews. And yeah, a feel-good atmosphere at the end of the season, which I think is exactly what we wanted, Caitlin. But Carlos Martin, a winner in 2025 at the final opportunity, and Loic Mounier, the champion.
Absolutely. I'd like to say a few quick words before the season finishes. First of all, this has been one of the most competitive seasons that I've commentated on in GPVWC Super League, and I am very, very honoured to have been given this opportunity. So, as always, I would like to say a massive thank you to the whole of the rest of the broadcast team, not just you, Ed, for commentating alongside me all year, but also Remco and everyone else who took part in the Super League broadcasts. I know Fabian did it last time out at Brazil. I'd like to thank everybody who puts on the broadcast for giving us the opportunity to go live every time. Toby Davis has been instrumental in that, and there are lots of other people behind the scenes to the extent where I would simply run out of time if I was going to name everybody. I'd also like to thank the league for putting on something so incredible. So Will Panisi, you own an amazing machine here, and I'm so excited to see what else it comes up with in the future. Thank you to race director Chris Williamson, who does an incredible job and never really misses any races. Thank you to all of the drivers and teams who make it so entertaining every single week and give it their all and make it such a professional environment. Thank you. Oh, one thing I forgot about you, Ed, is the highlights. I think those highlights packages are incredible. Thank you for that. Thank you to Toby for the articles that he writes on online. everyone who tests them, the mods, Robin Panzer, everyone else who is involved in that. And thank you as well to the audience, to you guys, for watching along, for your very funny comments in the YouTube chat and in the Discord and everything like that, and just everybody who makes GPWC what it is. I hope to see you guys at GPWC Day as well. I'm sure I'll see some of you. Lastly, and to do with today specifically, I'd like to thank my partner, because I had to borrow their laptop for this broadcast and they were not very happy about it, but they let me do it anyway. And I am about to go into the other room and grovel for forgiveness. But thank you very much for letting me do this, because there was no way that I was going to miss the final GPWC broadcast of the season. Anyway, unfortunately, that is the end of 2025's Super League Championship. Congratulations to Loic Mounier on the Drivers' Championship and THR on the Teams' Championship. And until 25, that will be it from us. Goodbye, take care, and we will see you next time we're out.